Welcome back to the channel. This is Randy Storm and you are watching What If Naruto Was Seen as a Hero like 4th Wished. If you enjoy this video, please like, share and subscribe to this channel. Now wasting no more time, let's start the story.
Footsteps hammered down the Hokage Tower's corridor, determined to get there as soon as possible. They were headed to Minato Namikaze's office, their Hokage. He was also referred to as the Yellow Flash, most likely due to his bright yellow hair and expertise in taijutsu. For some time now, he had been doing a good job of leading Konoha. However, bad luck was the cause of this incident on this particular day. His wife, Kushina, had given birth to their first child on this day. The town was abuzz with rumors of the baby. The Hokage and his wife had given birth to a boy on this day. Naruto had been his given name. According to rumors, he was already strikingly similar to his father. However, a demon that had been bothering them for a long time, the nine-tailed fox demon, had also attacked once more on this particular day. This monster had already claimed the lives of several shinobi, and Minato had vowed to fight alongside his fellow shinobi to protect Konoha at all costs, even if it meant losing his life, when the monster struck again. According to Minato, that was the responsibility of all Konoha shinobi, not just the Hokage. "Hokage Sama!" exclaimed one of the Hokage's assistants. The office was empty when everyone hurried in, saying, "Please excuse me, but I'm coming in." It was totally deserted. Someone saw a thick scroll on his desk and asked, "Where is he?" A closer look revealed that it was addressed to the Konoha elders. Former 3rd Hokage Sarutobi commanded, "Be quiet, let me read me this in peace." To the Konoha elders, the demon is attacking Konoha once more, as you have undoubtedly noticed. Additionally, as you have also observed, I am nowhere to be found. I hurried to face the demon after hearing from an aide that it had started attacking once more. This has been in my writing for a while. The nine-tailed fox can only be stopped in one way, according to my research. I would have taken the other route if there had been one. The demon will be sealed into a human host by me, not just any human host, but my baby boy as well. I wouldn't dare pick someone else because they will probably have a difficult life. But there's a cost to me doing this. If I am successful in this endeavor, I will die. And I'll probably die if I don't succeed. I'm sure Kushina will be upset with me for this, but there's nothing else to do. All I ask is that you be kind to my son, and a hero if you can. Even though he is unaware of it, he will be saving this village. The demon will be powerless once it is sealed away. I implore you to view my son as the person he is, rather than as someone who has a demon imprisoned inside of them. No one should hold him responsible for the demon's behavior. He is my son. Let Naruto be Naruto and treat him like a hero, will be my last official directive as Hokage. He will be raised well by Kushina. Regarding Konoha's leadership, I won't abandon the community without a leader. I would like to temporarily assign this role to you, Sarutobi, my mentor and old friend. Ensure that my last directive is followed. I wish someone besides Naruto could have done it. But no one else could have done it. I will carry his blood on my own head until the day I die, which is not long from now. Please convey my love, my apologies, and my hope to Kushina. I am the happiest man alive because of her. I pass away with the knowledge that not only will Konoha be safe, but my wife and son will also have a promising future. Along with this letter, I have also left my official will. Please, Sarutobi Sensei, see it through. 4th Hokage Minato Namikaze. The 4th's official seal was stamped next to his signature. A messenger, who appeared relieved to see Sarutobi and the other Konoha elders, hurried into the office. He formally declared, "I have a message for Sarutobi Sama." Then Sarutobi allowed the man to go on. The messenger concluded his message, bowed formally, and departed. The demon is defeated. The 4th Hokage sealed it into the body of a newborn baby. However, Anbu has secured the area and are waiting for you. I regret to say that the 4th Hokage is dead. That night, he had a lot more messages to deliver. As the 3rd's tears trickled down his cheeks, a Konoha elder asked softly, "Shall we go?" The 3rd stated with complete authority, "Yes, we will. I ask one of you to go tell Kushina the events of this night. Tell her Naruto will soon be back in her arms safely." With a nod, one of the elders hurriedly left the room. The others made their way to the town center, where the entire town square was surrounded by Anbu. They swiftly reorganized their perimeter after silently allowing the elders to pass through. The corpse of the 4th was lying close by, lifeless and pale. They had removed his robe. Sarutobi sought it out. He noticed a female Anbu holding something in her arms as his gaze swept over the area. The 4th Hokage's flame robes were wrapped around a newborn infant. She explained, saying, "We found him like this, Sarutobi." Sama. Upon holding the blonde child in his arms, Sarutobi noticed that the child did, in fact, resemble his father exactly. There were already indications of a demon trapped inside his body. He could see the sealing formula on the baby's stomach and had faint whisker marks on his cheeks. "Behold," Sarutobi said, raising the child in his arms, "the birth of a hero." The fourth knew what he was doing tonight. He knew he would die while protecting his home village. In his will, he asked that I temporarily assume the role of Hokage again. Also, he has asked that this child, his only son, be treated like a hero. I will see that this final wish of our fourth Hokage be fulfilled. After saying that, Sarutobi and his equally solemn fellow elders departed the gated and guarded area. Calming the terrified baby, he walked slowly to the hospital. When he found the hospital, it had somehow only sustained minor damage. He went to Kushina's room, where he could hear her sobbing loudly and fervently hoping Sama would protect her son. Heartbroken, Sarutobi knocked and stepped into the room. Immediately, as though sensing his mother's presence, Naruto fell silent. He approached her bedside and gave her son to the upset mother. "Naruto," she exclaimed, holding him close to her chest as her tears trickled softly down his cheek. She cried out, "Naruto, thank goodness you're okay." As she allowed the child to breathe normally, Kushina's shoulder was touched by Sarutobi. "Kushina-san, I'm so sorry for your loss. Minato has asked me in his will to become the Hokage again for a short time. He also asked me to see to it that your little boy be treated like a hero. And Naruto will be treated as a hero. You have my word on that." In Konoha, the day was incredibly thrilling. For every student in the academy, at least. They were scheduled to take the test today to determine whether they could advance to Genin. Naruto had also neglected his lunch. Kushina watched Naruto dash to the academy building and remarked, "Oh well." After breakfast, Kushina returned to cleaning up, saying, "He's probably not the only kid who forgot their lunch in excitement. He'll just come home a lot more hungry than usual. He'll also probably be wearing his new headband proudly." Naruto, who was a very kind boy, usually lent a hand. However, he was simply too excited today and left as soon as he was done. While doing the dishes, Kushina thought, "My life sure has changed since the day he was born." She stopped doing missions that required her to leave the village, which was the biggest change. Naruto would most likely restart them as she grew older, but until he was old enough to care for himself, she had wanted to make sure he had a parent nearby. But he would be taken care of even if she died, Kami forbid. He was, after all, the son of the village's savior, the fourth Hokage. Inadvertently, Naruto had also saved the village. She recalled the day Naruto had inquired about his father's whereabouts. Rewind. After returning from playing with friends, 5-year-old Naruto asked his mother, "Mommy, where's my daddy? Almost everyone else has one but me." Kushina had grinned. Kushina clarified, "Naruto, your father is dead. He died on the day you were born. A very bad demon was attacking our village and he died to see that it no longer bothered our home." Naruto sighed. But he wouldn't want you to be sad. He wanted to see that you had a future. His question was hesitant. "So daddy was a hero?" "Yes, Naruto, your father was a hero until the very end. He was also the Hokage, the leader of this village. That's why everyone treats you with so much respect. Because you are so much like your father." "Could I become Hokage someday? Then I could be just like my daddy?" Final flashback. Meanwhile, Naruto was racing down the street at full speed. Everyone halted their activities to greet him. It wasn't until 7 years ago that he realized why the elder generation called him Naruto Sama. However, he was Naruto-kun to all of his classmates and even some teachers. He returned their greetings. "Hey, today I'm going to come home with my headband, believe it." When he arrived at the academy, he sat down. Every girl in the class came to speak with him. They all seemed to like him for some reason. He only had eyes for one of them, even though they all liked him. And that girl was timidly occupying her own seat. He was aware that she also liked him. However, she was so shy that she found it difficult to come up to him and talk about it in public. He made the effort to speak with her because of this. The heiress to one of the largest clans in Konoha, Hinata Hyuga, was someone he liked. As they all waited for the teacher to enter, he excused himself and took a seat beside her. Although he knew not to meet her eyes directly, he said, "Hey, Hinata-chan. How are you today?" She'd probably faint if he did that. It had previously occurred. With her cheeks now slightly flushed, she said, "Oh, I'm fine, Naruto-kun. Thanks to you, I have a little more self-confidence." My father noticed this and acknowledged this. he smiled broadly. He gave encouragement, saying, "That's so great, Hinata-chan. I always knew you could do it. I wonder when Iruka-sensei will get here. I can't wait to take the Genin exam. I don't think anyone in our class is in danger of failing this year. That would be so awesome if no one failed." Iruka entered the room while Naruto spoke. Few of the children were able to stop themselves from bouncing in their seats long enough to give full attention, even after Iruka said, "All right, I know you're all excited. Settle down, all of you. I'll call you in one at a time. If you can successfully do the jutsu, which will be Bunshin no Jutsu, or the clone technique, you will pass to the next level, Genin. We already know you all can do both the art of substitution, and Henge no Jutsu, the transformation technique. We have faith in all of you. And when you come out, don't leave. We may have something else to say to you." Iruka replied with assurance. He opened the folder and took out a list of names. "We'll start with Sakura. Sakura, please come with me." Iruka responded. Sakura trailed nervously behind. Naruto gave her a quick thumbs up. He didn't think that was an excuse not to support them, even though he was sick of the girls all liking him without any justification. They heard Sakura shout something a minute later. "Yoshi!" she exclaimed. Everyone understood what that meant. She had been successful. She ran out with a broad smile on her face to demonstrate this. She was holding a headband. The next name called was, "I did it. Guys, I'm officially a Genin." I answered. Everybody who entered wore a headband when they emerged. Eventually, it reached a point where only 3 individuals remained. Hinata voiced some doubts she had been keeping as Sasuke was called in. She questioned anxiously, "Can I really do this?" Naruto gave her a gentle pat on the back. "Of course you can. Hinata-chan, you are so talented. You just have to believe in yourself. If you do that, no one can stop you," said Naruto. She was also encouraged by everyone else who had received a headband. "Hinata, it's easy. I saw you practicing all your jutsus the other day. I saw how good your clone was." Sakura admitted the truth. Sasuke put a headband around his forehead and walked back out, saying, "Naruto's right. Just believe in yourself." When Hinata was called in, she entered trembling. "We'll be cheering you on, Hinata-chan," exclaimed Naruto. She made an effort to conceal her own doubts by smiling. Everyone nodded, with some shouting out the response with enthusiasm. "We all believe in you, right guys?" Hinata said, "All right. I'll do my best," with a resolute expression. Hinata entered the room and closed the door, saying, "I can do this." She ran out with a headband in her hands a few seconds later. She rushed over to give Naruto a strong hug. Naruto entered smiling and said, "Naruto-kun, I did it. All we need now is you and we'll all have passed." With anxiety, Hinata questioned, "Do you think Naruto-kun will pass?" Naruto left with no headband on and a blank expression on his face. "I really hope I'm on the same team as Naruto. With him around, I feel like I can do anything." "Naruto-kun, how did you do?" Hinata questioned in a terrified tone. With a sudden smile, Naruto took a headband from his pocket. He exclaimed, "I passed with flying colors." Iruka then told them to sit down. "I had a feeling you would all pass, so I had the teams drawn up now. If you would all like, I can tell you your teams now, as well as your Junin instructor." Everyone sighed. They all smiled and said, "Choji, Shikamaru, and Ino will have Asuma Sarutobi as their team leader." Ino was a little down that she hadn't made the team she had hoped to be on. Everyone was happy to have Kakashi Hitaki as their leader, but there were rumors that he was difficult to get along with. Kiba, Shino, and Sakura will have Kakashi Hitaki as their instructor. Which means Sasuke, Naruto, and Hinata will be under Kurenai Yuhi. When it came to her team, Hinata whooped, happy to have gotten what she wanted. She exchanged a smile with Naruto. As Iruka enthusiastically declared, "You'll meet with them tomorrow. For now, congratulations to all of you. You have the rest of the day off." The now Genin all let out wild cheers, excited to return home and inform their families that they were now Genin. He stepped out of the classroom so the children could enjoy themselves. Naruto gave Hinata a look. He talked to Hinata after donning his own headband. Hinata shook her head at his offer, saying, "You haven't put yours on yet. Where do you want it? If you would like, I could help you put it on." She was responsible for doing this herself. She tied hers loosely around her neck with trembling hands. Hinata nodded enthusiastically at this offer. "I'm going to go tell Ka-san now. Later, if you want, stop by my house. We can go get ramen at Ikaraku's, my treat." All of the children practically ran home while sporting their headbands, which were made of metal plates bearing their village's emblem that glinted in the sunlight. Panting, Naruto arrived at his house. After catching his breath, he opened the door to discover his mother watching television. She noticed his headband when she looked up. Naruto let out a loud growl from his stomach and exclaimed, "Ka-san, I did it. My entire class passed easily. I knew I forgot something. My lunch, even though we got the rest of the day off. Maybe Hinata will come soon so we can go get some ramen." Kushina turned off the television and went into the kitchen, saying, "No way, Naruto. I'll make lunch for you. If Hinata comes by, she can stay for lunch. If not, you can have ramen for dessert after. Want to help me?" "You bet, Ka-san," exclaimed Naruto, imitating his mother's hand washing. Before long, they were enjoying cooking together. A knock on the door interrupted Naruto as he was chopping some vegetables. Declaring, "I'll get it," Naruto wiped his hands rapidly on his apron. Hinata said shyly, "I came Naruto-kun. My mom is making lunch right now. And she said you could stay for lunch if you want to. She's a really good cook too." After removing her shoes and leaving them by the door, Hinata said, "Okay. That sounds good." They went to the kitchen and said, "By the way, I'm really glad we're on the same team." Kushina had nearly finished cooking. Distractedly, Kushina said, "Naruto, go wash up. I'm almost done here." "While I'm thinking about, who else is on your team?" As he hung his apron on the peg, Naruto responded, "Hinata and Sasuke are my team members. Kurenai Sensei is our Junin instructor. I'm going wash up, Ka-san. Be right back." Naruto led Hinata to the restroom. "Your Ka-san is really nice. Mine died when I was very young. I only have Oto-san now." Hinata responded with sorrow. "Cheer up, Hinata-chan. After all, we're official shinobi now. The fate of the village will most likely rest on our shoulders someday. We need to be ready at any time," he said with a grin. No matter what, Naruto could always make her feel better. Today was the last class for all of the children at the academy. Although Iruka was also there, she had allowed the children to play freely until all of the Junin instructors arrived. First to arrive was Asuma Sensei. Shikamaru, Ino, and Choji hurried off with him. Kurenai swiftly found Naruto, Hinata, and Sasuke after arriving. With a swift command, she said, "Let's go you three." The three genin she had found soon came after. They watched Kakashi Hitaki approach the classroom as they were leaving. Presumably smiling, he gave the departing team a cheerful wave. Except for one eye, the majority of his face was hidden. However, he must have altered his expression in some way because the piece of cloth covering his mouth moved. She took a seat on a swing when they came to a stop in the park. "My name is Kurenai Yuhi, as you should know. I'll talk a little about myself and then you three will talk about yourselves. As for me, I'm 28 years old and just recently became a Junin. So this is my first time with a team. I hope we'll become people we can all trust. Sasuke-kun, you start now." Sasuke stated plainly, "There's not really much to say about me." He stopped discussing that. "I want to become a strong shinobi so I can prevent what happened to my family from happening to another one. Naruto, how about you go now?" Naruto said, I want to become Hokage someday. I also love ramen and want to become the strongest shinobi I can possibly be, short of doing anything wrong or bad. Ninjutsu is definitely my strong suit. Taijutsu I'm good at. But I still have problems with genjutsu." When Naruto stopped, Kurenai asked encouragingly, "And Hinata-chan?" "I definitely want to become strong. But I have self-confidence problems, which I'm currently trying to get rid of. Naruto-kun is really helping me out there. Other than that, I really want to make my family proud of me," Hinata replied quickly. She handed 10 kunai and 10 shuriken to each member of her team and pointed to 3 targets she had set up before saying, "We're going to do some basic exercises today, just to see what you 3 can do. We'll do target practice first." She made them stand a good distance away from the targets and said, "Let's go try that. But I want them back after," she said, "Start throwing." Kurenai observed her team tossing the provided items. Sasuke was obviously a skilled shooter. Additionally, Naruto was primarily hitting the bullseye or areas near it, with a few straying. "Naruto-kun, if you focus only a little more, you'll be just as good as Sasuke. Maybe we'll do things to help with your concentration," she replied. Naruto nodded, his eyes narrowing now as he concentrated so intently. Naruto nodded once more, opening his eyes wide and making a concerted effort to avoid narrowing his field of vision once more. "And don't narrow your eyes like that. It limits your field of vision, opening you up to attack in your blind spots. However, Hinata was the one experiencing the most issues. She was hitting the mark with 3/4 of her kunai and shuriken, but the ones that missed were wide misses. Kurenai saw that her hand was trembling, which caused her to lose aim because her twist was a little off every few throws. Kurenai mentally noted that her biggest issue was her lack of confidence. Hinata, keep your wrist straight as you throw. But don't let it lock up. That'll be hard to achieve, but if you do that, you will have perfect aim. As they returned the kunai and shuriken, Kurenai said, "Okay, next exercise." She walked over to the park's large pond and stood on it, walking around for a few seconds on the water as well. "We'll be testing your chakra manipulation now. You'll be learning to manipulate chakra through all parts of your body. We'll start with the feet," she continued. Kurenai commanded, returning to dry land. "To begin with, visualize chakra completely covering the bottom of your feet. When you believe you have it, step onto the water." The next exercise was immediately started by the 3 genders. Sasuke was very skilled, Kurenai observed. His antisocial behavior was the only issue. Clearly, he was accustomed to solitude. That implied that he would probably require more focus on teamwork. Hinata was skilled at manipulating chakras. Of the 3, she was by far the best, probably due to the Byakugan. Kurenai pondered. She was able to observe the chakras flow, which likely helped her fully comprehend this exercise. She did have an advantage over the other 2 because of that. This exercise was giving Naruto a lot of trouble. Though it was an improvement, he was at least able to stay up on the water for a few seconds without falling, even though he was now completely soaked from falling in the water so many times. "Hinata-chan," said Kurenai. Kurenai, believing she understood Naruto's issue, asked, "Can you help me out with something?" Hinata remarked, "I will if I can, Kurenai-sensei." Veins formed around Hinata's eyes as she nodded and said, "Activate your Byakugan and look at Naruto. See if you can tell me anything about his chakra." She said softly, "Can you tell me anything?" Naruto.kun has a huge amount of chakra. "It's a very large amount," said Hinata. Hinata halted her use of her Kekkei Genkai, saying, "But for now, that's all I can tell. Though I think that's his problem. He has so much he can't control it very well." She called her team to her and pulled out 3 small square pieces of paper. "That's what I thought. He has a lot of potential though. He just needs to learn how to control his chakra. I know something that may help." Each genin received one from her. "Focus your chakra into this paper. This type of paper comes from chakra trees and can identify the type of chakra you have. It'll help you train if you focus your chakra in a way that your own chakra can understand naturally." Sasuke, Hinata, and Naruto all directed their chakra toward the tiny pieces of paper. Hinata's got soaked. Sasuke's exploded in flames. Naruto has just been torn in 2. Sasuke congratulated him, saying, "Nice going, Naruto." Kurenai interrupted the argument before it could continue, saying, "Your chakra control is horrible indeed if you can't even manage not to rip the paper." Kurenai remarked, "That was perfect, Naruto. Water chakra makes the paper soggy. Fire makes it burn. Lightning wrinkles the paper up. Earth makes the paper crumble. And wind makes the paper tear in half. I'll talk to Asuma tonight, see if he can help you with your chakra." Naruto.kun. He also has wind-natured chakra. Kurenai patted the 3 genins on the back and said, "All right. Get some rest tonight. We have our first mission tomorrow." Kurenai gave a headset to every member of her team. Sasuke, Hinata, and Naruto put them on, fastening them with the thin band of fabric that resembled a collar. Kurenai gave each genin a picture and said, "Our goal is to find and catch the missing pet. The missing pet is a dog by the name of Chinko. Everyone understand?" asked Kurenai. Everybody gave a nod. They had formulated a strategy and were pursuing it. The group was supposed to disperse and conduct their own independent search. Kurenai didn't take this seriously and intended to go in the direction she had planned. This was their mission, and she intended to monitor their progress from a distance rather than actively participating in it. With the intention of staying in touch on a regular basis, each genin headed in their own general direction. Half an hour passed. Naruto whispered, "Hinata, Sasuke, how are you 2 doing?" He didn't want to frighten the dog if it happened to be close to them. Sasuke answered, "No luck on my end, Naruto." Hinata repeated, "Same report on my end. I scanned my area with my Byakugan. No signs of any stray dog." Naruto advised, "Continue to search your areas. Our friend Shinko has to be here somewhere." Through the headset, Kurenai asked, "You 3, how are you doing?" After giving Naruto their reports, Sasuke and Hinata reiterated, I haven't had much luck yet. Kurenai had heard what they were saying. Naruto's father had demonstrated the traits of a born leader from an early age. Naruto would take the same route as the fourth if he continued in this manner. He hadn't responded to her inquiry regarding their progress. Naruto.kun. How are you doing? She asked. Naruto said, oops, sorry, Kurenai. Sensei. I just found some dog tracks that could possibly belong to Chinko. What should I do? After a few seconds of silence, Kurenai responded. Follow them as best as you can. But don't get too far ahead. We'll join you shortly. What side of the forest are you on? Asked Kurenai. Naruto replied, I'm on the west side of it. I'm starting to go in now. I'll stop in a little while and wait for you guys. Affirmative, Naruto.kun. We'll see you shortly. Hinata. Chan. Sasuke.kun. Proceed to the west side of the forest and wait for me. We'll enter together, ordered Kurenai. Now Naruto tried to follow the tracks as best he could. Even in the dark parts of the forest, Naruto could see them because he had good vision. He strained to hear any faint yelping or barking. His ears perked up. He may not have realized it, but he was moving like a hunting dog. He was rewarded for his silent movements and efforts to hear any barks or yelps when he heard a loud yelp. It originated from the location Naruto thought the tracks led to. He crept silently up to the area. The dog must have yelled at something. Chinko was lying down. When Naruto got there, he saw the dog collide with a large tree and fall to the ground, still. The man who had apparently kicked poor Chinko was seen by Naruto. It was a Konoha shinobi. The man wore a vest that Naruto recognized. When someone was promoted to Chunin, they received a vest. They were still worn by a few of the Junins. However, Naruto recognized the man only dimly. Although he had seen the man a few times, he was unaware of his name. In Naruto's memory, however, the man's silver gray hair stood out. In Konoha, nobody else that young had hair that color. Something was being said by the man. He said loudly, I barely avoided detection. He had a huge sealed scroll fastened to his back. I'm going to have to lay low for a while. But it was worth it. This scroll is worth a lot. Orochimaru might like to take a look at this afterwards too. I'll learn these techniques and give the scroll to Orochimaru. Sama. That could get me some credit with him. Naruto had had enough. He cautiously backed away, trying to make as little noise as he could. The man didn't notice if he had been heard. At a distance, Naruto exclaimed, Kurenai. Sensei, in a dramatic manner. I have some unusual activity here in the forest. Someone, a man in his late 20s by the look of it wearing a Chunin vest with silver gray hair, just said he stole a scroll and wants to avoid detection while he learns them. He also mentioned someone named Orochimaru. Naruto.kun. Get out of there now. You just discovered a traitor who has stolen something from the Hokage's tower. You can't handle him, ordered Kurenai. Naruto was jerked to his feet just as he opened his mouth to respond. The person who had taken the scroll was the one. His headset was ripped off and shattered into tiny fragments as he cried out, Naruto.kun. Answer me, Naruto.kun. He let the fragments of the damaged headset drop to the floor and said, sorry, Naruto.kun. But I can't have them find me yet. One genin won't really be worth the fuss. Even if it's you. I don't see why they honor you. After all, you have that in you. What? Naruto mumbled, do you mean? They respect me because I'm so much like my father, who died protecting this village against a terrible demon. The man chuckled. The man said, oh, he stopped the demon all right. But he stopped it by sealing it into you, his own son. That thing was a monster. And now, because you have it sealed in you, you are a monster too. I'll do the world a favor and get rid of two monsters at once. The man began to giggle. Naruto attempted to escape his hold. However, this man was too powerful. He gave the order, stop it. Naruto continued to fight. Naruto gasped as the man caught him by the rumple of his shirt and partially blocked his airway. People are already on their way here now. You'll be stopped, he said. With a grim smile, the man punched Naruto in the stomach. Naruto's headband came loose and fell to the ground as he grunted and went limp. Mizuki whispered, maybe they are. But by the time they find you, you won't be in the world of the living anymore. Hinata nearly ran through the town in an attempt to get to the forest when Kurenai caught up with her. Hinata appeared nearly as anxious as she was. Kurenai. Sensei, what do we do? Hinata asked in a panic, but Kurenai had received enough training to know not to panic. Kurenai glanced around and saw Iruka, another shinobi, and a member of the Anbu. Running to the Anbu and calling Iruka over, she gave the command, follow me. Kurenai said bluntly, pardon me, I might know the general area Mizuki is. The head of the Anbu turned abruptly to face her. One of my students encountered him in the forest. After that, the contact was broken off and we have been unable to renew it. The Anbu swore. He or she inquired, what is the student's name? Kurenai couldn't tell because of the mask, but the voice sounded masculine. Naruto Uzumaki. Iruka.san, I need your help. I'm going after him as well. Hinata, you can come along, but promise me you'll play it smart. Hinata gave a quick nod. Kurenai, Hinata, and Iruka took off. Kurenai hurriedly added, oh, Naruto encountered him near the west side of the forest. After acknowledging with a head movement, the Anbu immediately disappeared to report the incident. After learning that Naruto might be in danger, Sasuke joined them and the villagers dispersed to make room for them. Iruka said gravely, Naruto can't handle Mizuki. He may have all the potential in the world but he's still only a genin fresh out of the academy. Kurenai muttered, I knew I should have followed my instincts and told him to wait. She cursed herself, darn it, I still have a lot to learn. Iruka gave a no shake. Iruka comfortingly remarked, this is your first team, Kurenai.san. It's okay to make mistakes. Iruka informed her, we all make them. But what if he ends up dying because of one wrong order from me? I'd hate myself for that, asked Kurenai. Hinata grinned and said, Kurenai. Sensei, you have our faith, Sasuke.kun and I. Kurenai knew better than to doubt herself, as she was doing now, and said, we know Naruto.kun will be fine. Even though he just graduated the academy, he's very strong. He might be killed if you doubt your own skills. Mizuki had brought Naruto and the scroll to an ancient shack tucked away in the middle of the forest. He was resting after tying up the Kyuubi brat. Nobody was certain of his precise location. Additionally, he had a genjutsu placed throughout the shack in case they did discover it. With a sigh, he removed the scroll from around his back and neck and placed it close to Naruto, who was still unconscious. He had chosen to take the Kyuubi brat with him rather than kill him. Kabuto and Orochimaru had both mentioned how much they would like to have a Jinchuriki around. In Orochimaru's eyes, this would further his success. Mizuki had no idea that Naruto wasn't unconscious. He merely pretended to be unconscious while managing to draw a kunai to cut himself free. His hands were still behind him when he was literally flung into the corner. The sawing motions were invisible to Mizuki. I wonder what makes this scroll so unique. What? Naruto asked himself. Mizuki looked at Naruto again, still believing him to be unconscious. Just now, Naruto had made it through the heavy ropes. I guess it's safe to go outside. He can't escape, he replied. Naruto opened his eyes as Mizuki stepped outside. To let fresh air into the dusty shack, Mizuki had left a window open. Naruto smiled, grabbed the scroll, and crept up on a crate before tiptoeing to the window. He noticed Mizuki hadn't returned yet when he looked over his back. With a gentle landing on his feet outside, Naruto climbed through himself and lowered the scroll out the window. He left the shack by half walking, half running, after slinging the scroll over his shoulder. He didn't want to announce his recent escape to Mizuki. He heard Mizuki shout a series of profanities as he had just gotten 50 feet away from the shack. It was time for a full-out run. He shouted, "Where are you?" As he ran faster, the scroll bounced against his back. "Don't you know who I am? I am Mizuki Toji, your captor. Be a good Kyuubi brat and come back," Naruto exclaimed. Naruto vowed to himself, "There's no way I am returning." He ran until his legs gave out. His face was now a fine sheen of sweat. Leaning against a tree, he surveyed his surroundings. Mizuki would eventually catch up, so there had to be a decent place to run. He looked at a cave concealed behind a medium-sized waterfall and said, "Kurenai. Sensei said I couldn't handle him. So I'll try hiding and fight only if necessary." Naruto smiled and entered the cave. After opening it and looking through its contents, he asked himself, now what is the big deal with this scroll? It was a scroll of jutsus of the highest level. The first one looked good to him. Naruto read aloud, "Taju Kage Bunshin." As he read more, he discovered that it was similar to ordinary Bunshin no jutsu, but the clones were made of real material, shadows, instead of fake. An equal portion of his chakra was taken by each clone created. These guys are way more useful than regular clones. And I may need allies soon. Naruto then got to work, trying his hardest to pick up the jutsu as fast as possible. Compared to Bunshin no jutsu, which was not difficult at all, it was surprisingly only slightly more difficult. He was able to create the shadow in 30 minutes. These guys would be great for that extra muscle, but the specifics were a little hazy. Naruto peered out of his cave and said, "Where are you? You can't escape me that easily." Mizuki had just shown up and appeared to be ready to kill. You're just the son of the fourth Hokage, who has been deceived all his life, and you aren't worth that much. They won't care. You'd better die now, quickly, easily, and painlessly. Come out of that cave, Kyuubi brat. Don't you get it? You can't beat me. You think I'll accept death so easily? Naruto said, I don't know about the lying part. Not happening. Declaring that he had little chance of winning without assistance, he bravely stepped out and said, Please, Kurenai. Sensei, be on your way here now. I need help. Naruto took a deep breath and created the seals necessary to form a small army of himself. Mizuki removed them with ease. I'm impressed. If even an ignorant Kyuubi brat like you can perform those forbidden techniques with ease, they must not be that difficult. Mizuki looked around, but he couldn't find Naruto or the scroll he had worked so hard to steal. But I noticed they're not perfect, he said, adding, after I deal with you, I'll take the scroll and learn them for myself. What can I do? Darn it. As he fled, Naruto remarked, all I can do is stall for time until help arrives. He collided with someone and fell hard to the ground, landing unevenly due to the scroll on his back. A harsh voice said, you can stay here with Hinata and Sasuke. Naruto glanced up at the person who had just given him directions and was looming over him. Hinata abruptly exclaimed, Kurenai. Sensei, I see a fight up ahead. I recognize Naruto. Kun's chakra. He's running this way after doing something to buy himself some extra time. A blonde streak was seen coming directly toward them as Hinata finished. What can I do? Darn it. When the blonde streak collided with Kurenai, he grunted loudly and fell to the ground. Kurenai and Iruka grinned as he looked up. All I can do is stall for time until help arrives, he said. Iruka-san and I will look after Mizuki, Kurenai said. You can stay here with Hinata and Sasuke. You can tell what happened in a second. As the three mature shinobi clashed, sparks flying as metal met metal, Kurenai and Iruka met Mizuki, who was right behind Naruto. Hinata and Sasuke pulled the stunned Naruto to safety. How are you, Naruto-kun? Over the sound of the altercation, Hinata inquired. Seeing Mizuki just be overpowered by both Iruka, Sensei and Kurenai. Sensei, he replied gratefully, I'm fine Hinata. Whereas he had been having issues with Mizuki, Kurenai and Iruka were just too much for Mizuki. No, I'm not going to stop here. After escaping the two shinobi instructors, Mizuki yelled, charged Naruto, grabbed Naruto's throat, and sent both of them flying into the forest behind him. As if I'll let you, Naruto yelled, bringing his knee up as hard as he could into Mizuki's gut. It worked, making Mizuki let go. Naruto rolled to a stop and quickly made another, much bigger, army of himself. You're going down now. They all yelled at once, and Mizuki was helpless to stop Naruto's reckless charges and strikes. Before anyone could go check on him, a gray blur shot to him first, hitting Naruto in the chest. The real Naruto, who had hit him square in the nose, went skidding behind Mizuki as he went down, but Mizuki was out cold, leaving a stunned Kurenai, Iruka, Hinata, and Sasuke just catching up. Well, that settles things. Naruto said, falling to his knees, panting heavily. Oh no! He exclaimed as he fell on his back, legs flying into the air. Shinko had apparently taken a liking to him. Come on, you're welcome. Now stop licking me. As Shinko began to lick his face wildly, Naruto yelled, and he barked joyfully. Everyone who witnessed this snapped back to reality and rushed to him. Iruka removed the dog from Naruto, and Sasuke helped him up. Kurenai wasn't sure whether to laugh or reprimand her pupil. Naruto was exhausted and hungry, as a group of Anbu marched into the area, immediately taking Mizuki into custody and escorting Kurenai, her team, and Iruka back to town. I'm fine, Mom, Kushina Uzumaki said as she hurried out of the crowd and knelt down to embrace her son as they entered the village center. He said softly, I'm just a little hungry and tired. Kushina let her son go. She wiped away a tear and said simply, let's go home then. We also need to talk, Mom. Was the demon attacking the village the day I was born truly sealed into me by Oto-san? As they made their way out of the crowd, Naruto inquired. He did, indeed. They also refer to you as Naruto Sama for that reason. You see, the day you were born, you saved the village. When you grew up, I was going to tell you. However, I suppose that day has come. She smiled sorrowfully. To his mother's surprise, he said, I don't mind. At least it was me and not another child. And this had no negative consequences. Absolutely nothing has changed. Naruto yelled, ow, 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 loudly. As she examined her son's wounds, Kushina shook her head and lightly ran her hands over his ribs to check for fractures. He had taken off his shirt and was sitting on the kitchen counter. This made the fingerprints on his neck and the two large bruises on his chest. One from Mizuki and the other from the dog, clearly visible. I said I'm fine, Ka-san. Naruto admitted to having minor burns from rope on his wrists in addition to the bruises. She responded promptly, I had to see for myself. Now I'm going to make something to eat. Get your shirt back on and hop off the counter. The doorbell went off. Kushina washed her hands at the sink and said, and get the door while you're at it. With his shirt thrown over his shoulder, Naruto leapt off the counter. He shouted, I'm coming. Kushina reprimanded Naruto for not speaking in his indoor voice. With a smile, he hurried to the door. Kurenai and Hinata were there. Hinata exclaimed, Naruto-kun, those bruises. Naruto gave a shrug. These are nothing. They'll be gone by tomorrow. How can I help you too? He inquired. First, we wanted to see if you were really okay. I'm sorry that happened, Naruto-kun. Explained Kurenai. And also, she continued, the Hokage would like to see you. It's to hear what happened from your point of view. Pulling his shirt on, he said casually, none of this was your fault, Kurenai. Sensei. Sometimes it just happens. At this point, Hinata appeared to be about to faint. He rushed back into the kitchen, and they heard him quickly explain to Kushina, as for going see the Hokage, I'll go see him now. I just need to tell my mom where I'm going. A second later, holding a snack bar and juice, he ran back. After putting on his sandals, Naruto and his group left. He started to bite into the snack bar and drink the juice as he went. Kurenai and Hinata were staring at him, so he asked, what? He clarified, I'm hungry. He hummed happily, my mom will have the meal waiting when I come back. He saw a trash can en route and disposed of his trash when he was done. No one stopped them as they made their way down the corridor to the Hokage's tower. Sarutobi immediately opened the door and offered each of them a seat. I would like to hear the events from Naruto Kun's point of view now. Especially the details involving the traitor Mizuki. He stated simply. If Naruto-kun would tell me. Naruto smiled modestly and said, sure. I was punched in the gut shortly after contacting Kurenai. Sensei, her having warned me to get out there. I woke up in an old, dusty shack. My hands were tied behind my back. After I managed to get a kunai out to free myself, Mizuki went outside for some fresh air. I grabbed the scroll and escaped through an open window. Despite the fact that I was running at top speed, he caught up easily. I ended up causing a distraction to buy time to escape, and bumped into Kurenai. Sensei, literally. Naruto paused his story for a moment, and Sarutobi asked, and after that? Well, Naruto said, Mizuki, Kurenai, Sensei, and Iruka. Sensei fought for a little while. Mizuki wasn't doing so well, escaped them, and grabbed my neck at a high speed, sending us both flying into the clearing behind me. As we were flying through the air, I kneed him in the gut as hard as I could. Summoned a whole bunch of shadow clones, which all attacked Mizuki at once. He was knocked unconscious. After that, Anbu took off. Hinata stumbled. Naruto-kun is being shy. Hokage. Sama, he kneed Mizuki in the gut, came to stop, made his shadow clones, and as he came from his attack, went into a somersault and landed on his feet with no problem, ready should Mizuki still be prepared to attack. The Hokage chuckled. Naruto smiled at this, which was when he fell to his knees exhausted. Shinko also made himself known apparently. The Hokage inquired, and what about you, Naruto-kun? Any injuries? The casual response from Naruto was, only some bruises. Give them a day or two and they'll be gone. The Hokage said, ah yes. I've heard about your unusually fast recovery rate. Well, you not only completed your mission quickly, but were the key person involved in the capture of a traitor, learning a new technique in the process. We were wondering why the scroll had been unsealed. Naruto appeared guilty. Don't worry. It was necessary. We would like you to consider that a bonus for completing your mission. Everyone started laughing when Naruto's stomach rumbled. The Hokage grinned broadly and said, go home and eat, Naruto-kun. I would say you have earned a good meal. Naruto and his group stood up and bowed. He said as he walked away, thank you, Hokage. Sama. When the Hokage waved back to Naruto, Naruto failed to notice his smile. Naruto cleared his plate and praised Ka-san, saying, man, that was so good, I would say your best yet, Ka-san. He had been extremely hungry. That or you were so busy today that you worked up a huge appetite. Could be either one really, Kushina conceded. She ruffled her son's short, blonde hair and said, no one can deny that you have earned a good meal though. Every day. Naruto resembled his father more and more. She had not yet fully recovered from the loss of her husband, so it made her a little sad. Minato had once said that he was excited to watch his son mature. Unfortunately, she realized that her son would never see that as she watched him dash upstairs to take a bath. The following day, Naruto was diligently practicing his taijutsu in the park. He was beginning to really enjoy taijutsu for some reason. Additionally, he thought it was worth practicing more after his fight with Mizuki. Right, I won't be caught off guard again. I'll put all my effort into becoming the best I can be, he said. Behind him, someone gave a hearty laugh. He turned and saw two individuals standing behind him. They both had bowl-cut hairstyles and wore identical green jumpsuits. "Ah, the power of youth," exclaimed the elder. "I like your style, kid. I am Might Guy, a Junin. And you have to be Naruto Uzumaki-kun. We've heard about your accomplishments as of late." The younger said, "And I am his student, Rock Lee." Naruto nodded enthusiastically as he and Lee practiced together, with Lee even teaching Naruto some new moves. "If you would like, we could train together in taijutsu. I'm on my way to becoming a taijutsu specialist, as I can only use taijutsu. What do you say, Naruto-kun? Shall we better ourselves together?" Guy watched his green-clad student with pride and exclaimed, "This is so moving. Lee can truly harness the power of youth. I'm so proud of him," he exclaimed, almost crying at the newfound youthfulness that Lee and Naruto were so audaciously showcasing. An hour later, Might Guy gave Lee another call. Guy apologized, saying, "We need to get moving now. Sorry to interrupt your fun." Naruto's hair was tousled by Lee. As he left, Lee remarked, "We should do this again sometime, Naruto-kun. Maybe we could get together and train sometimes." Naruto yelled, "You bet, Lee. Oni-san," as the two shinobi in green shirts left. Guy grinned as she listened to Naruto's animated responses. Lee was feeling very upbeat. Guy said out loud, "I see you made a new friend. I have nothing against your spending time together. In fact, I might even join you." "Ah, the shows of youth. Doesn't it just refresh one's soul?" Guy grumbled. "Ah yes, it does, Guy. Sensei, it really does. Naruto-kun has quite a lot of youth. If only he could put it to good use." Today, the Hokage had summoned two teams. He had a unique task for Kurenai's new Genin team and Team Guy. Arriving first, Might Guy's team settled into the office and waited for Kurenai and her group. "I can tell you a little of your mission right now, if you would like me to," the Hokage replied. Guy answered, "Please do, Hokage. Sama. It's something that I am having 3 teams today. You'll all be mentoring someone today. Your team, Guy-san, will be mentoring Kurenai Yuhi's team, which consists of Hinata Hyuga, Sasuke Uchiha, and Naruto Uzumaki. Guy-san, you might wish to give Kurenai-san some pointers as well. I think she still blames herself for Naruto's involvement in the Mizuki Toji incident." Hokage. "Sama, can we choose who we work with, or has that already been determined?" Lee inquired. The Hokage's expression had changed to one of curiosity. At this, the Hokage erupted in laughter. "I asked that because Naruto-kun and I had a chance to practice taijutsu together yesterday. We both want to work together again on it. I'll leave that up to you guys. Neji-kun, though, I have feeling will be with Sasuke-kun, as he probably won't want to mentor his own cousin for today." Neji grinned. Kurenai's team entered after someone knocked on the door, asking, "So 10.10. Shan will have Hinata. Shan and Neji-kun will be with Sasuke-kun." Grinning, the Hokage led them inside. Kurenai's group entered. Kurenai said, "Hokage. Sama, we have come as requested." "Good, good. Today, your team will be mentored by Team Guy. I thought it would be a good chance for both teams to expand their horizons." The Hokage clarified. "We were just discussing who would work with who when you came in. Of course, you all have a say in this as well." Naruto blurted, "I want to work with Lee. Oni-san." The Hokage gave a broad smile. Lee-kun has also said he wants to be your mentor for the day. If everyone is agreeable with this, this leaves Hinata. Shan with 10.10. Shan and Sasuke-kun with Neji-kun. The teacher clarified. Hinata appeared relieved that 10.10 was with her instead of her cousin Neji. 10.10 smiled tentatively at Hinata, who smiled back shyly. Sasuke and Neji had no opinion on the subject. The Hokage ended his brief speech when there were no objections. "Kurenai-san, I thought that since this is your first team, Guy-san might be able to give you some pointers." Kurenai gave a deft nod. Well, off you all go then. Have fun today. The designated pairs each went off on their own after both teams departed. Naruto.kun, I'm glad it was your team that my team was selected to mentor. All I do is taijutsu. So when it comes to techniques, that's all I can really help you on. But there's other stuff I can mentor you on as well. Naruto merely smiled. That's fine, Lee. Oni.san. Kurenai. Sensei and my Ka.san regularly help me with my ninjutsu anyway. And I'm completely hopeless at genjutsu. At least, I've never had any luck with it so far. Lee took Naruto to his preferred Konoha training location. Naruto nodded in agreement, saying, by the way, you can call me something else if you like. Lee. Oni.san must be quite a mouthful. How about just plain Lee? You can call me just by my name without any honorifics. Naruto grinned. Then if I can call you just Lee, you can forget the honorific in my name as well if you want. I think Naruto.kun suits you, so I'll still call you Naruto.kun. But names aside, let's get down to some training. First pointer is this. If you're using taijutsu, a lot of agility and dexterity helps. So we'll start with working on that. Lee continued. Alright, Lee, let's get started, cried Naruto. Hinata was led by 10.10 to Konoha's training area. 10.10 inquired. One thing that you have a problem with is confidence, right? At this, Hinata gave a shy nod. We'll see what we can do about that. I think that if you know you can do any certain skills, then that will help your confidence. Are you proficient in any weapons? Replied 10.10. Do kunai and shuriken count? Kurenai. Sensei has recently said I am very good with those, replied Hinata. 10.10 gave a nod. Shuriken and kunai are some of the basic tools that a shinobi uses. But it also helps if one has a proficiency in another type of weapon. Besides shuriken and kunai, what kind of weapons do you like? Asked 10.10. I've never gotten the chance to use any other types of weapon, so I don't know, replied Hinata. Hinata was shown one of the practice weapon rooms by 10.10. There were numerous kinds of weapons on the walls. Hinata carefully examined the weapons and asked, which one would you like to practice with? I am proficient with very many of these weapons. Hinata replied, 10.10. Chan, I'm really not sure. This didn't put 10.10 off. Hinata was recently elevated to the rank of genin. It was unlikely that she and her group would receive many important missions just yet. No matter. She gave Hinata one of the 2 wooden staffs she had taken from a barrel. We'll see how good you are with close combat first and see how it goes from there. Most of the Hyuga clan are melee fighters, something you can tell about your family's jutsus. Let's get started. Kurenai said, Guy.san, I don't know what to do with Naruto.kun. The children had gone. It's not that he has no talent. He has a lot of potential. But his chakra control is off. He has so much of it he doesn't know what to do with it. I've been meaning to talk to Asuma.san, as he has the same type of chakra as Naruto, but I haven't had time to do it lately. Just how much chakra does that kid have? Asked Guy. Kurenai gave a shoulder shrug. I don't know the exact amount. But Hinata looked for me with her Byakugan after I had this suspicion. She said he had a lot of it. But I'm thinking he has a lot more chakra than even the average Chunin. Kurenai replied. And Hinata is also a special case as well. She has a lot of potential too. But she has such a lack of self-confidence that it's holding her back. I think Naruto.kun greatly inspires her. Whenever he's around, she's a lot cheerier and more optimistic. Muttered Guy. Maybe you should start Naruto.kun on some meditation exercises. That often helps people with a lot of chakra control it better. As for Hinata, the best thing for her is lots of encouragement. How does Naruto.kun react to Hinata? He is always encouraging her. That's why I think she likes him so much. He hasn't given up on her, as I suspect her father has. I heard that her little sister receives a lot more attention than Hinata. Chan. Replied Kurenai. Let Naruto.kun and Hinata-chan work together a lot. But don't forget to make Sasuke.kun feel like a part of the team as well. I noticed he's a bit of a loner. If you give it a little time, Naruto-kun's confidence might rub off on Hinata-chan. Guy offered an idea. Lee.kun had the same problem for a while. It really depressed that he could only use taijutsu. It heavily affected his confidence. That's what worked with him. 10.10. Chan helped him out for a while and gave him a lot of encouragement, which helped mold him into who he is today. Kurenai was already considering how to implement Guy's suggestions. I'll see what I can do. Thanks for the advice. They turned around to see the Hokage approaching them after hearing footsteps behind them. Hokage. Sama, how can we help you? He grinned. I was just wondering how your teams were doing. If today goes well, I might send your two teams on a mission together. What would you two think? Guy nodded. I'm not sure how Sasuke would do with working in such a big group, said Kurenai. He's a bit of a loner, very impatient. He's my biggest concern. He's the most skilled of the group, but the one most likely given to disrupt the dynamics of the team due to his nature. The Hokage said simply, a smile beginning to form on his lips. We'll just have to see. Sasuke and Neji had just made the decision to spar for a couple of hours in the morning. They would discuss it in greater detail after lunch. He reluctantly complied with the command. Sasuke-kun, tuck in your elbows. In the past, my clan was the most powerful in Konoha. He pondered. Only the Hokage and those we willingly placed ourselves under gave us orders. And take a look at today's clan. The only surviving member is following orders from a Hyuga, who, of all people, we had a lot of trouble with in the council when the clan was still strong and alive. He was deeply repulsed by this fact. If only he'd been paired with 10.10 or Lee. However, that implied that there would be problems for everyone. Listen up. Neji bellowed. When Sasuke returned to his surroundings, he saw Neji entering to exploit a weakness. Neji narrowly avoided striking the preoccupied Uchiha. Neji gave a firm command. Never let your mind wander during a fight. If you ever hope to avenge your family, as I know you do, you'll need to be better than this. Itachi Uchiha has joined an evil group, whose true goal is unknown. All we know is that it won't be good for anyone. This man was correct, even though Sasuke didn't want to acknowledge it. I must be at the top of my game if I want to see him dead. He gets stronger the more I waste him. Sasuke remarked, you're right. I have to be the best I can be. I won't be distracted again. Neji said, good, because now, I don't have to hold back. Breathing heavily, Naruto leaned against the wall. They had spent the entire morning and early afternoon honing their taijutsu. Lee followed Guy. Sensei's pace. It was also a very punishing pace for someone like Naruto, who was only now beginning to take taijutsu seriously. As he noticed Naruto taking a break while leaning against the wall, Lee worriedly asked, Naruto-kun, are you alright? His words were, I'm fine. I'll be fine in a minute. Lee extended his hand and said, I'm not used to going at the pace you and Guy. Sensei go at. Lee suggested, let's take a lunch break. We could go to Ikaraku's, my treat, since I'm the one who pushed us this hard. I forgot that you aren't at our level of taijutsu yet. Lee held out his hand, and Naruto accepted it before being dragged to his feet. He said, I'll take you up on that offer. And, yes, it was a very punishing pace for me. But I'm learning a lot and I'm getting stronger. It's worth every moment of exhaustion. Lee gave Naruto a pat on the back. Guy. Sensei would have loved to have you on his team. You have a very strong power of youth. If only you had graduated the academy 1 year earlier. Lee said as if in a dream. Naruto appeared a little perplexed as Lee talked excitedly about his daydream, mentioning the power of youth multiple times. Maybe we could have even been assigned to the same team. He said casually, well, should I meet you at Ikaraku's then? Lee grinned pityingly and snapped back to reality. Oops. Sometimes I get a wee bit carried away. Let's go. Lee replied. Lee and Naruto strolled into town to get ramen from Ikaraku. Naruto was sweating profusely and was very hungry. However, he wasn't particularly concerned about that right now. However, he was eagerly anticipating his next mission, hoping that it would allow him to put his newly acquired taijutsu skills to use. However, my ninjutsu skills are still far superior. However, I still have a lot of space to grow. According to the third Hokage, both teams are here at last, with a casual voice. He had summoned Kurenai's team, Team 8, as well as Team Guy. He clarified, I've called you here today for a special mission. He urged, please, make yourselves comfortable. There was seating available for both teams and their leaders. You see, the Hokage said, our friends in Suna have sent the son of their Kazekage here. Our relations have not been the greatest, so we're trying to improve them. He's been here for a while now and is now time to go home. But we're worried. So we're sending 2 teams with them. This will be a character building, routine escort mission. Kurenai and Guy exchanged glances. Hokage. Sama, replied Kurenai, even if it is routine, are you sure my team can handle it? What if something goes wrong? They only just graduated academy. He promised, I have complete faith in all of you, and besides, both teams have excellent leaders. They leave in 2 days. I would suggest you all prepare for a mission that should be around a week long. Remember that it may be very hot at times, so pack accordingly. He offered. Kurenai.san, have faith. Have faith in both your team and yourself. You're all still learning. Team Guy and Team 8 met the party they were going to be escorting 2 days later. 3 people made up the small group. Naruto believed that one of them was an old man. Half of his face was covered by a cloth on this one. He hid it beneath his headband. The other was a man whose hair was blonde, almost brown. The person with half of his face said, "My name is Baki. And my companion is Yashimaru." Yashimaru said, "It's nice to meet you. I've been taking care of Gaara-kun for a long time now." She pointed to the young boy standing beside him. The boy's dark brown, nearly black eyes were heavily outlined, and he had red hair. The image of love was permanently inked on his forehead. However, Naruto saw that he had a wounded expression in his eyes, one that implied the figure on his forehead was the complete opposite of the life he led. Every Konoha resident gave their introduction. The most animated greeting was Naruto's. He cheerfully said, "Hi," and held out a hand. "My name is Naruto Uzumaki. It's nice to meet you, Gaara-kun. I really hope that we can be friends," he said with enthusiasm. Gaara timidly shook Naruto's hand. Gaara's eyes appeared more alive than they had in a long time, and Baki and Yashimaru were shocked to see him almost grinning. Is Naruto-kun truly interested in becoming friends with Gaara-kun? He must be aware of this, or Gaara-kun would continue to treat him with such coldness. Yashimaru pondered. Gaara muttered, "I hope we can too, Naruto-kun." Baki and Yashimaru grinned to themselves at this. Baki proposed, "Well, let's get on the road." The group began as one down the road, saying, "It's enough of a trip to Suna as it is." Naruto-kun, how did your Ka-san react to this mission? Replied Hinata. Naruto smiled stoically and said, "I'm sure she didn't react well to us having such a mission like this so early." Naruto acknowledged, "Well, she didn't react very well." He smiled and turned to face Gaara, who was firmly gripping Yashimaru's hand. She freaked out, saying that it was way too early. But I made her see that I was not a child anymore. But she's at least still not going to go complain to the Hokage anymore. That's a plus. I think Gaara-kun and I will be good friends. Naruto rushed to Gaara, who appeared shocked, and grinned. Naruto exclaimed, "Hey, Gaara-kun? Do you like ramen?" Gaara gave a headshake. Gaara, who is not accustomed to people being so amiable toward him, responded timidly, "Suna is a hot country. Therefore, the best things we have treat-wise would be cold things. Things like ice. Cream are really popular." Naruto-kun, are you not afraid of me? He inquired. Naruto appeared perplexed. He asked naively, "Why would I be afraid of you?" Gaara's expression changed to one of hurt. "Is there a reason to be afraid of you?" he asked. When Naruto saw the expression on his face, he said, "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to bring up bad memories for you. I would like to be your friend. But if want nothing to do with me, I'd understand." Gaara quickly raised his eyebrows. In a hurry, he said, "No, I want to be friends." Naruto smiled, blushing a little. "Not many people are encouraged to be my friends, because of who I am. Not many people can see me for who I am as a person. Thank you." Gaara pointed to Hinata and said, "By the way, does that girl like you?" Naruto glanced in the direction he was pointing and waved happily when he saw it was Hinata. Blushing, Hinata turned her head away. "We both like each other. But she's really shy, as you could see," he replied. Gaara inquired, "So you two are dating?" When Hinata heard this, she froze. The word, dating, caused Naruto to look perplexed. Naruto shook his head and said, "You don't know what dating is. Dating is what two people do when they like each other." He clarified. "They go on dates, hold hands, stuff like that." Naruto froze this time around. What would his mother think if he brought a special someone home? Really? He inquired. Gaara grabbed Naruto's arm and dragged him along to catch up with the others, saying, "Yeah. Come on. We're gonna get left behind at this rate." They felt someone pick them up out of nowhere as they caught up. Lee was the one. Lee excitedly positioned Gaara on his right shoulder and Naruto on his left shoulder and exclaimed, "Gaara-kun. You are just like Naruto-kun here. Such a strong power of youth. Guy. Sensei would be so happy." Lee began to run, saying, "Come, let us now go to show him." "Hold on, Gaara-kun." Naruto laughed. Naruto exclaimed to his new friend, Lee. Oni-san is really an energetic guy. He had made the decision to keep using Lee. Oni-san in place of Lee. Despite being the only child, he regarded Lee as an older brother. He might be able to find Gaara a real friend in his house. The messenger informed his leader, Kazekage. Sama, we just sent the assassin on his mission. The council said we could entrust this mission to him with no problems. The Kazekage nearly snarled. The Kazekage snarled, he had better hurry. That sandstorm will only serve to help that hindrance. He must die. For the sake of the village, he must not be allowed to live. The messenger bowed and walked away, saying, yes, Kazekage, Sama. The shinobi from Konoha and Suna traveled across the desert. Kurenai, Sensei, Guy, Sensei, and Suna all appeared to be doing well. Naruto, Hinata, Sasuke, Lee, 10.10, and Neji were the ones experiencing issues. Additionally, it was evident that Hinata and Neji were at odds. Though he wasn't sure how Hinata would respond, Naruto wanted to ask her why. When Naruto had asked Lee for his opinion on the subject, Lee had responded, don't let it bother you. There's always been tension between the main family and the branch family of the Hyuga clan, especially lately. Neji-kun is especially hateful of them, for reasons only he knows. But it seems like Hinata, Chan and Neji-san especially don't like each other. Why is that? Naruto had inquired. Lee let out a sigh. Hinata, Chan is the heir to the main family. Neji is the heir to the branch family. Despite the fact that Hinata, Chan is the heir to the main family, many of the Hyuga clan think that Neji-kun is more suited to the position. It's really unfair, considering the fact that Neji-kun is older and more experienced. Comparing the two, people think he has more natural talent. Naruto began to really dislike the Hyuga clan now, except for Hinata of course. However, that is untrue. It's just that no one believes in her or encourages her, Naruto stated firmly. She would be able to fully realize her potential if people could be persuaded to believe in her. Lee grinned and knelt in front of Naruto. The group had now stopped to rest. Lee informed Naruto, but people do believe in her. Kurenai, Sensei is one of those people who believes in her. She is also believed in by a number of her fellow genin. But above all, and I believe this is the most significant thing to her, you have faith in her. Her primary motivation now is your faith in her. She believes that her greatest strength is your faith in her. Really? Me? I am not unique. You have the innate ability to recognize people for who they truly are. No, you're wrong. Lee corrected. You can see Hinata for who she really is and how self-conscious she is. And you truly want to help her with your innately large heart, and as a true friend, not to improve your own image. He indicated the locations of Hinata and Gaara, saying, you also saw how much that young boy needed a friend. She's trying to please you just as much as she aims to please her father. He must be responding to you more because he sensed your sincerity. Otherwise, I doubt he would have opened up to you so quickly. But naturally, the Hokage should always strive to put his people before himself, cried Naruto. He is there to protect and serve the people. Even though my father lost his life defending the village, I still want to make him proud, and I strive for the top spot in order to accomplish that. Until I or someone else who genuinely wishes to protect the people of Konoha sits in the position of Hokage, I won't rest in order to protect them. Lee grinned and proudly tousled Naruto's hair. I'd be pleased to remove the .kun from your name and substitute it with Sama if that day ever arrives, Naruto.kun. As he left to go get dinner, he said proudly, you'd be a good person for the job. Naruto grinned and hurried to join Hinata and Gaara. Naruto.kun. Hinata gasped as he nearly made her jump out of her skin. Here, some food, she said, handing him a plate with some food on it. Naruto took a bite of it and found this food to be just as good as his Sans. Is it good? I'm hoping I didn't overspice things. You created this? Hinata nodded when Naruto asked. Yeah, I wasn't busy and Yashimaru.san looked like he needed some help, she replied timidly. Oto.san doesn't encourage it, but I really like to cook. It's excellent, Hinata. Chan. The compliment made Hinata smile. Hey, Hinata. Chan. Just be yourself. I can't tell who's better, you or Ka.san. Perhaps your Otou.san will see your full potential if you succeed as yourself. There is no reason why a Hyuga person cannot also be Hinata. That night, Hinata went to sleep with great joy, knowing that Naruto accepted her for who she was. Naruto.kun. She whispered softly as she fell asleep, and Yashimaru, who was on guard, gave a slight smile upon hearing this. Yashimaru pondered, Naruto.kun must be very happy in his village, and if Hinata Chan is any indication, there are definitely a few happy people there as well. He heard footsteps approaching them and scowled as he turned to face the sky. Baki.san is aware of the impending sandstorm and will make preparations accordingly, but anyone else should try to find shelter because we are far from Suna. Who could be approaching us at this hour, and what do they want? As directed, Yashimaru woke up every adult in the group, knowing what to do. Baki.san. People are approaching us. Baki awoke immediately. He commanded, "Wake the children. We aren't taking any chances." Yashimaru nodded and hurried to wake up every child, with the exception of Gaara, who was already awake and barely slept. Yashimaru said, "Be ready." All of the kids woke up at once, and they all nodded, making sure their leg pouches were prepared to be gotten into at any time. Something may be wrong. Why is that strange sound coming from Yashimaru.san? A strange, almost rushing noise came from somewhere, and Naruto asked, "It was almost about to wake me up." That's the sound of a sandstorm coming our way, Naruto.kun. We will still pass through it, but we have taken precautions. However, everyone else should be aware that this is not the time to travel. We believe something might be amiss because of this, Yashimaru replied. Everyone covered their faces with their arms as the area was rocked by explosions. Naruto.kun. Hinata called out from the midst of the chaos, and Naruto followed her voice to locate her as she staggered around, her Byakugan skills obviously not yet strong enough to see through the smoke and now the sand. He whispered, "Don't freak out. Stay with me, and I'll lead you back to the others." Hinata nodded naively, reassured that Naruto's hand was securely in hers. They might know what is going on. "How can you tell, though? How did you discover me?" Naruto shushed Hinata's question. "My hearing is excellent. Just don't let go of my hand," he informed her. He himself stumbled through the smoke and sand. As he proceeded as silently as he could through the chaos, he picked up a faint noise. "Watch out!" As he heard metal being pulled out, he swung Hinata around behind him, blocking the kunai attack intended for Hinata while experiencing pain in his shoulder and arm. Naruto.kun. "Are you okay?" he heard Hinata cry. He gritted his teeth and said, "I'm fine. Stay close to me and defend yourself. And have faith in yourself." Hinata's hand trembled as she withdrew it from Naruto's. "Follow the sound of my voice." "Right," she said, her voice trembling as she spoke. "I won't drag Naruto.kun down. I'll make him proud," she told herself in her mind as she activated her Byakugan, hoping that even a little use of it would help her. However, rather than having blurry, unfocused vision like she had before, she now had perfect vision and wasn't hampered by it. But it was too soon to think about her enormous leap in command of it. "I'll make you proud, Naruto.kun." Naruto heard her soft words and smiled, knowing that a miracle had just occurred with the girl he liked. "Avoid making me feel proud." The man that Naruto just punched exploded into smoke. It had been a clone. He didn't let the fact that he was half blind stop him from fighting as hard as he could. "Make yourself proud of your own ability and skills," he said as he charged his opponent and lancing out with a punch. She said, "We can't go on like this. You'll end up mincemeat at this rate." Hinata was unharmed, but Naruto was covered in small cuts from not being able to block all of the attacks thrown at him. Naruto shook his head, as Hinata observed. "No, I'll be all right," he answered. "Can you tell where any of the others are? These are already healing." "No," Hinata replied. "I don't believe they're in our immediate vicinity. Otherwise, they wouldn't let us fight by ourselves." Naruto nodded. "We must then withdraw. I hate to say it, but we simply cannot win. We'll locate the others once we've escaped," Naruto commanded. "But how do we get out?" Hinata said. "Right," she inquired. "You don't—" Their attackers yelled as they impaled each other with their own allies' kunai. Naruto's instincts sounded loudly in his head, and he fell to the ground just before his attacker arrived, dragging Hinata with him. They both charged simultaneously from opposite directions. "Get moving. We could use this as our chance to escape," Naruto said, pulling Hinata with him as he ran. "That won't stop them for long." Hinata started running on her own now, but they continued to run hand in hand. "Hinata, are you able to see better than I am?" She gave a nod. "I'll lead us to a secure location. We won't be able to find the others in this sandstorm," Hinata said, taking the position in the front and looking around for a spot to hide for a short while. "Just follow my lead." She guided Naruto to a small cave she had recently discovered, where they were able to escape the wrath of the desert. It's better to find some shelter and wait out the storm. They leaned back against the wall and said, "Phew." They both had black smudges all over their faces and clothes, and they looked at each other before laughing out loud. However, Hinata stopped laughing as she saw Naruto's clothes, the jacket he was wearing in ruins, and Naruto saw her staring. He hurriedly said, "These are fine." Hinata reached into her leg pouch and took out a tube of something. "Remove your jacket and shirt." Knowing she wouldn't believe him until she witnessed it for herself, Naruto complied, watching her eyes widen as she watched the wounds heal in front of her. "How is that possible? These speed up the healing of injuries, and we can use what's left of your jacket for bandages." "I've never seen anything like this," she said, startled. "A demon is imprisoned inside of me. It is imprisoned within my body." He was relieved to see that Hinata still liked him. One of his biggest fears was that he would be hated for something that was beyond his control. "But because of the demon in me, I have heightened senses and a very fast healing ability, as you just saw. But I have a question for you." He smiled. "What do we do until the sandstorm passes?" After they had finished dealing with their enemies, many of whom had been beaten senseless, Yashimaru said with relief, "Well, Gaara-kun is safe. The sandstorm had started to lessen, though it was still quite bad. Now we can double time it back to Suna." Kurenai said solemnly, "We can't return." Yashimaru looked at the Konohajunin gravely. "Have you not noticed that two of us are missing?" Gaara and Lee noticed who was missing first, and Kurenai demanded. Yashimaru. "Ojii.san. Where are Hinata, Chan and Naruto.kun?" Gaara inquired. "I'm not sure. Gaara.kun." Yashimaru said softly to his nephew, "We'll search every cave and other location that might be used as shelter. They most likely sought refuge from the sandstorm. We'll send search parties out here if we don't find your friends by the time we get to Suna. Since Naruto.kun is also the son of a significant figure, we will not allow our allies to be referred to as MIAA man who prevented a great evil from affecting the entire shinobi world." "Who?" Gaara inquired. Gaara gasped as he recalled the lessons he had learned about the demons and those courageous men and women who had halted them. Yashimaru responded, "Naruto.kun is the son of Minato Namikaze, the fourth Hokage of Konoha. The Yondaime Hokage, Konoha's Yellow Flash, is the father of Naruto.kun? I can't let him and Hinata Chan go unnoticed," he said incredulously, and Yashimaru nodded. "I'm glad to hear that. Let's get to work now. We have a lot of work to do," Yashimaru stated. "The sandstorm has somewhat subsided," Naruto said. "Perhaps we should try to find the others." Hinata shook her head. "We ought to remain in one location. When they arrive in Suna, they're most likely looking for us or will send search parties on our behalf." Hinata said, "If we move around, we'll probably only make the situation worse." Naruto sighed, realizing that she was probably correct. "All right, then. What do we do, though, in the interim?" Already appearing bored, Naruto inquired. "Well, Kurenai. Sensei was correct anyhow. Something went wrong. We didn't get to go out for ramen, you know, Naruto. We might be able to get some when we return. Additionally, invite Lee.kun and 10.10. Chan. Sasuke.kun, too, I would say, but..." Hinata fell silent. "Yeah, I know." Naruto acknowledged that he is somewhat aloof and even antisocial. Even if we extended an invitation, he would not accept it. It makes sense considering the weight he is carrying alone. However, we can only allow him to live his life as he pleases. He said solemnly, "There's not much else we can do, but I say we go ahead with the ramen idea. When we return, perhaps think of it as a celebration." He chuckled quietly. "You know, your Ka.san might never again allow you to leave the house. You've only gone on 2 missions so far, and each time you've had a negative experience." Hinata grinned and joked, "First you get kidnapped, and now this." Naruto shrugged. "After all, she knows of my dream." He added in jest, "I'll convince her to let me leave the house." Hinata appeared perplexed. "Like my Otou.san. I hope to become the Hokage someday." Hinata was amazed by the shinobi who now sat next to her, even though she had never met him. "Naruto.kun, I'll be with you the whole time as you try to achieve your dream." She swears. "I seriously think that you can do great things." Naruto laughed. Hinata. "Chan, you can too." Hinata was intrigued when Naruto said, "But I was just thinking about something important. You still like me, don't you?" "Since I still like you." Hinata stumbled, Of course. I've liked you for a long time and I don't think I'll ever stop liking you." "Why?" "Because, as Gaara.kun stated, if two people like each other, they should date," Naruto said shyly, placing a hand over hers. "Would you like to date me?" With a broad smile on his face, he asked, causing Hinata to flush. Naruto mentally braced himself to catch her if she fainted. "Me? Then yes, I would," she insisted, and Naruto nodded before pumping his fist into the air. "Yes." How long does it take them to find us? He roared triumphantly, then moaned. I've never been very patient. Eventually, the sandstorm stopped, and the rest of the group headed to Suna, watching for Hinata and Naruto. Kurenai, who was very anxious, tried not to show it because she believed in the two members of her team who were missing. They stopped again for the night, with Kurenai and Yashimaru taking the first watch. Even though it would have been wiser to stay put, Naruto and Hinata had made the decision to get moving, and they were both going stir-crazy in the cave, while Hinata was moving much more slowly. Naruto and Hinata had decided to sleep for the remainder of the day and travel that night because it would be cooler. However, they needed to exercise caution because all of their supplies were with the other members of the group, which meant they had no food, water, or sunscreen. Another good reason to travel at night so they wouldn't have to worry about the sun or heat. All of their other supplies were also gone, but they could live without those for a while. Naruto, who has called her Hina-chan since they first started dating, said, "At least it's not super hot now, Hina-chan. We should find them soon." Hinata nodded, still unsure of how her Otou-san would respond to her going above and beyond and getting a boyfriend, as he had been mentioning for a while that he would find her a suitable husband. She said softly, temporarily forgetting about her family's worries, "Yeah." Naruto gave her a pat on the back. "If we don't give up, it'll be fine. That's the essence, to think that we will always have a unique way of getting together," he said, gazing up at the moon with affection. Who else can claim that they came together in this manner? Hinata laughed nervously and said, "Well, Oto-san might have something to say about it. I'm pretty sure he's already thinking about who he wants me to marry." Naruto gave her a reassuring squeeze on the hand and said, "Maybe we should just deal with that when the time comes. Probably a high-ranking member of the main family knowing him." "Is it just me, or do you also see the campfire way ahead of us?" Naruto asked, glancing ahead of them. Hinata also noticed it as Naruto asked, searching for more specific information with her Byakugan. "One exists. Can you do me a favor, Naruto? Don't mention our relationship to the others when we return," she said, and Naruto nodded. "If Oto-san knows, Neji will tell him, and I want him to learn about it from me rather than my cousin Neji. Until you're ready, I won't speak. Shall we go to the fire?" Naruto politely inquired. "But let's exercise caution just in case," Hinata said, nodding. Naruto nodded in agreement. "It might be the others or those who attacked us earlier." As Kurenai sat on watch, she kept her eyes and ears open, thinking reflexively about Naruto and Hinata. Are they okay? They may be shinobi, but that doesn't change the fact that they are only 12 years old. What will I tell Kushina-san if we don't find them? And the Hyugas? The Hyugas will be the ones I dread to tell. Kushina-san will be upset, of course, but she will probably be understanding, or at least that's what I can hope. Knowing where the Junin's mind was, Yashimaru passed Kurenai, tempted to try to console her, but she refrained since she knew that Kurenai was having mental difficulties due to the issue of Naruto and Hinata's current disappearance. Naruto won't give up until he becomes Hokage, and he won't let anything happen to Hinata, she thought. She was brought back to reality by a tiny hand touching hers. It was Gaara, with dark brown eyes full of concern. "I won't be sleeping anymore tonight, Kurenai-san. Are you able to let me watch?" he said softly. "I wouldn't worry about Naruto-kun and Hinata-chan," and Kurenai nodded. "I'm sure they're trying to find us now, but I know they'll be fine," Kurenai said, wishing she could know that too. They might even return tonight. "Gaara-kun, I wish I could feel the same way you do. I'm constantly considering what I should say to their parents, or, in Naruto's case, their parents. In Konoha, Kushina and Naruto are by themselves," Kurenai said, "because, as you know, his father is dead." Gaara nearly forced a dejected smile. "Food and water ought to be prepared, in my opinion. Everything they own is here. When they get back, they'll most likely be hungry. You'll see. I believe in them. Naruto-kun in particular. He is a unique individual. When they first meet me, everyone else is terrified of me. Naruto-kun, however, wasn't." With courage, Gaara said to Kurenai, "I hope that after this mission, we can still be friends." "I thought I heard something," Yashimaru said as he approached Kurenai and Gaara. Kurenai and Gaara both nodded, and they said, "I'll go check it out and be back in a bit. Make sure everything is fine here while I'm gone." They both nodded once more, and Yashimaru stalked off into the darkness, returning a few minutes later with two young people in tow. They were able to identify the person even in the darkness. Naruto and Hinata were located by Yashimaru. "Hello, Kurenai. Sensei." "Hello. Gaara-kun." Kurenai shook her head. I hope you weren't too concerned about us. I trusted the two of you. So did Gaara-kun. Are you two okay? Both of them nodded when she asked, but Kurenai didn't fully trust Naruto's response because his jacket was in ruins. So why is Naruto-kun's shirt and jacket torn? Kurenai questioned doubtfully. Kunai cut me up a lot. But I'm all right. By now, all of the wounds have healed. You see? Naruto showed them his back and chest by pulling up his shirt, showing no visible wounds. I have a really fast healing rate, he said. Kurenai, unable to see anything that contradicted his statement, said, I see. You two get some rest and eat something. They both nodded and followed Gaara, who was relieved to see his friends safe, to the fire. We're continuing to Suna as planned, she said. The Konoha shinobi were nearly back in the village, their mission now complete, and the Hokage knew they were coming because Kurenai and Guy had sent a message there by Hawk, which should have arrived by now. Oh man. Ka-san is going to flip out when she sees me, the Hokage said. Everyone but Neji started laughing when Naruto moaned, she might follow Hinata-chan's advice and not let me leave the house again. We'll be home soon, Lee said, giving Naruto a reassuring pat on the back. Cheer up, Naruto-kun. And your mother will understand, I'm sure. We'll simply have to wait and find out. She should at least know you're safe by now. They went through the gates without being stopped, and it was obvious that they had been in the desert because they were all sunburned, though not to the point of pain. Naruto, who naturally had tanned skin, was the least burned of them all. Kurenai said to Naruto, Hinata, and Sasuke, good mission, team. They were to go home, and tomorrow at noon, they were to meet in the park. Dismissed. Naruto escorted Hinata home first, and they all dispersed, with Sasuke likely heading to his apartment. I don't like seeing Sasuke like this, so Naruto stated, we have to get him out of his funk. Since he is a member of this team, we need him to feel more involved. Hinata nodded, adding, not to mention our friend. This evening, I will discuss this with Oto-san. As she entered her enormous home and closed the gate behind her, Hinata said, hopefully, I'll have good news when we see each other tomorrow. Naruto saw some of the younger Hyuga children wave enthusiastically at him, but he was unsure if he had waved in time. He sighed deeply and began walking back to his home, where he heard a terrifying yelling from within. You just came back from a research trip? As Naruto entered and removed his shoes, he heard his Ka-san yell. The target of the yell muttered something in response, but Naruto was unable to understand it. Okay, but you'd better not make him a pervert. His Ka-san stated, I don't know when Naruto will return, but it seems like he had a successful mission and is currently traveling home from Suna. From Suna? He recently graduated from the academy, didn't he? Until they gain some experience, genins typically don't get missions like that. He heard his Ka-san sigh, and a voice he didn't recognize said, they should only get missions from around the village, like manual labor. You're usually correct. There were supposed to be no issues with the escort mission. But apparently, during a sandstorm, he and his teammate Hinata-chan were still able to separate from everyone else. The stranger laughed uncontrollably at this. Don't laugh. There was a hint of sadness in her voice, and Naruto realized that something terrible could have easily happened. Remember his parents' identities. You were there, of course. Even if you were temporarily retired, you are not someone to be trifled with. And the identity of his other parent will never be forgotten. Given both sides of his family's history, I would be shocked if he weren't naturally strong. Naruto knocked courteously and went into the living room where he could hear the voices. Upon entering, both adults looked up to see Kushina standing in front of a fallen chair and a white-haired man picking himself up off the floor behind it. Naruto looked up and down at the man, his white hair sticking up everywhere, and asked himself, Ka-san, who is this old man? The man fell again as he asked bluntly, and Kushina laughed while the man frowned. This is Jiraiya, your godfather, Naruto. And even though he has white hair, he is not elderly. Kushina remarked, he has white hair naturally, from birth. Naruto regarded the man with skepticism, and Jiraiya now examined his godson, whom he had not seen in a few days since Naruto's birth. Naruto was covered in dust and sand, and he was a little sunburned. Jiraiya nearly did a double take because he resembled his former pupil, Minato. Naruto-kun, it's good to meet you at last. Your father's sensei is me, Jiraiya. When Jiraiya held out a big hand to shake his godson's, Naruto reluctantly shook it, wondering where this man had been all his life. In case you're wondering where I've been researching, Jiraiya said. As you just heard, I'm also your godfather, I write novels. Jiraiya-san, Naruto said warily. Are you the Sannin member I studied in academy? Jiraiya? The toad. Calling one? Jiraiya nodded, and Naruto said, then you're the author of Icha Icha, those pervy adult porn novels. Jiraiya began to perspire. Kid, you have a lot of intelligence. Kushina laughed again as Jiraiya nervously said, hey, if you want, we could go out and get something to eat, to get to know each other. I'm also called the Toad Sage. At this, Naruto smiled and said, hey, Kushina, want to come? I'm moving back here, and I want to fully embrace the position of your godfather. Jiraiya inquired. I need to get things done around here. In addition, you two will be able to spend some time alone. Kushina pointed upstairs and said, but first, Naruto, you are going upstairs and taking a bath. And when you return from your meal with your godfather, I want to hear about your first out of village mission. Okay. They heard Naruto's bedroom door slam as he left his room to use the restroom, and he smiled before rushing upstairs. Jiraiya observed, that kid is a bundle of energy. Yeah, he is. Kushina concurred, saying that trying to keep up with him as a kid was a nightmare. Every night I went to bed exhausted. Imagine what I would have become if I had kept on completing missions. However, she paused, he's powerful. He's a decent guy who always tries to act morally. Even at this level, his endurance is incredible. He also has the same amount of chakra. What's most remarkable, though, is his capacity for healing. No matter how serious the injury, he can recover from it far more quickly than the average person. Is that natural, or is it the result of the demon that was sealed inside him? Jiraiya inquired. Kushina replied, I don't know. I believe the demon within him is the source of the healing. However, his father is the source of his high chakra and stamina levels. He appears to be a son of his father. However, I am the source of his personality. He is a natural at ninjutsu and only mediocre at taijutsu, but he is good friends with Rock Lee and practices taijutsu with him. Furthermore, learning genjutsu has never been a necessity for him. However, he will struggle greatly with it if he is like me. Kushina smiled. You should be proud of both you and him, Jiraiya told Kushina, adding, you raised him well. With a child like him, I believe any other mother would have faced significant challenges. Glaring at Jiraiya, Kushina said, are you implying that my son is a troublemaker? He enjoys making jokes on people occasionally, it's true. He doesn't cause trouble, though. With a warm smile, Kushina said, I'm very proud of him. He could easily fulfill his dream and become Hokage someday. And to believe that he is capable of doing anything he desires. Are you in favor of me teaching him some skills? Jiraiya inquired, and Kushina gave him another curious glance. Not my pervy ones. He held up 2 fingers and said, no, I want to teach him 2 techniques. The first is the Rasengan. Given that his father invented the method, it is only fitting that he be familiar with it. Secondly, I would like to teach him how to call forth toads. Naturally, once more, given that his father also called forth toads. I'll let Naruto handle that. We're talking about him, after all. It would be difficult to stop him, though, if I knew him. As she was saying this, Naruto, dressed in clean clothes appropriate for casual days, ran down the stairs once more. He wants so much to be like father. I'm prepared. He grinned broadly as he spoke to Jiraiya. Jiraiya turned to Kushina and said, I'll be taking him out to eat now. Kushina nodded, and they both put on their shoes and departed. Jiraiya explained the techniques he wanted to teach Naruto as they waited for their order at the local barbecue joint. They will not be easy to learn, and you'll seriously need to put all your effort into them. However, Jiraiya clarified, these are some of the techniques your father used when he was alive, and Naruto's eyes brightened. He probably would have wanted you to be aware of them. This is your order, Jiraiya. Sama, Naruto. Sama, they said as their food arrived. Enjoy, please. Please don't hesitate to ask if you need anything, she said before heading out to deliver an order for another group. They're calling Naruto Sama when he's only 12? Jiraiya inquired, and Naruto nodded before starting to prepare his meal. Many older people still refer to me by that name, however, my friends and teachers use Kun rather than Sama, which I prefer. I'm not that important, regardless of what my father did or what I inadvertently did. He clarified, closely observing his own food as he spoke, and people who aren't near me still use Sama as well. What, you won't eat? He began by saying, oops, sorry. He smiled as he explained, I was listening to you so intently. It was a tense scene in the Hyuga clan meeting room. Hinata had just returned from her mission, and as she closed the gate, she watched her much younger cousins wave to Naruto before running to her room, changing into her casual clothes, taking a bath, and requesting to meet with her father in the meeting room without wasting any time because she was anxious. Startled by how urgent and determined she sounded, Heishi Hyuga had also hurried there, and when he entered, he saw Hinata sitting patiently on a mat, as if this kind of behavior were commonplace. "So, Hinata, how is that I may help you this afternoon?" he inquired to find out what she was truly thinking about. "Odo-san," she said, her voice trembling, then disappearing as she finished, "I would like permission to date someone." Hiyoshi's eyes widened. What could this someone be? Curious, he asked. "Kun Naruto. We both like each other. It won't be a problem for his Ka-san." Hinata responded, "But he doesn't want to cause problems for me with my family." Naruto hadn't stated those things directly, rather, they were implied, and it was typical of him to not want to upset her. Hinata tensed up, waiting for the bad news to come while Heishi laughed, giving her the impression that she was going to receive a big fat no. "I knew he most likely would not have allowed it," she told herself, adding, "I shouldn't have gotten my hopes up." After noticing this behavior, Heishi stood up and knelt next to her, saying, "I like him. He is exactly what you require." As Hinata lifted her head, tears streaming down her cheeks, he said, "I think my actions toward you lately have come across as harsh. We need to talk. Therefore, I want to know what you think in order to demonstrate our relationship, which has been extremely strained. Talk freely." "You see, I've always wanted to make you proud of me," Hinata said, nodding. "However, you never seem to like anything I do, including the training. I am aware that I will inherit the clan and that I will need to be tough in order to lead it effectively. However, I've never received any kind of praise. In your eyes, I feel like a failure. It's true that I didn't believe in you very much for a while, however, you've changed recently. I'm not sure how to describe it, but you've significantly improved and are more self-assured. I believe that Naruto-kun is to blame for this," Heishi inquired. "He's really encouraged me," Hinata said, nodding. "As much as I want to make you proud, I also want to make him proud. I feel like I can accomplish anything because he has faith in me." Hinata nodded as Heishi said, "So he was the cause of your change. If such a short period of time can change you so much, just think of how much you will change over time. I not only support dating young Naruto-kun, but I also fully approve of it. This will help you both." Hinata was so happy that she gave her father a hug, something she hadn't done in years. "I'm grateful," she told him firmly, and they carried on talking while Heishi ignored the other clan issues for the evening. When they were done, Heishi said, "Hinata, I was always proud of you," and she went to her room. As instructed by Kurenai, everyone gathered in the park the following day. Naruto was there first, swinging to kill time, when Hinata arrived with a bounce in her step. Seeing him by himself, she rushed to him and almost knocked him off the swing, barely stopping herself in time. "What's got you so excited, Hina-chan?" did he ask. "Yes, my dad said. He not only supports but also encourages you and me to date," she said joyfully. "That's fantastic. But we can't let this get in the way of our missions," Naruto said, dragging Hinata onto the swing beside his and pushing her. "They might assign us to different teams." Hinata gave a resolute nod. "You're correct." Hinata agreed, saying, "On missions, missions come first." Sasuke approached. "How are you, Sasuke-kun?" When the swing stopped, Hinata asked joyfully. "I was asked by Kurenai Sensei to inform you too that the meeting has been cancelled. She should return in roughly a week after being unexpectedly called on a mission. If we can, she wants us to keep training," Sasuke remarked. "It will work." Sasuke, however, did not hear the response, so he simply left. "Man," Naruto exclaimed loudly. "We will simply need to exercise patience. He will eventually change his mind." With a growl in her stomach, Hinata said, "That's right. Oh no, I didn't think I'd have time for lunch. However, it seems that I did. Come on, let's grab some ramen. We'll extend an invitation to 10.10. Chan or Lee. Oni.san if we see them. I'll have to go get some money first, though. It's at my house. Come on." They walked down the street hand in hand, receiving a lot of looks, but they didn't care because they were together and nobody could stop them. A few days after the scheduled meeting, Jiraiya called to check on Naruto, who was still asleep at 9 in the morning after voluntarily enduring Guy and Lee's training pace for nearly a full day, returning home exhausted the night before with sore muscles, having taken a bath after dinner and going to bed early. When Jiraiya opened the door, Kushina welcomed her, saying, "Ah, Kushina-san. I've come to see if my godson wants to do some training with me," he said, waving slightly. Jiraiya removed his shoes and entered after Kushina said, "Jiraiya-san, come in." "I'll go see if I can wake him up," Kushina said. Yesterday, he trained with Guy-san and Lee-kun. It seems that he also insisted on training at their level. The fact that he trains so hard every day bothers me. At this rate, he will injure himself. And Naruto is already prone to danger, she remarked as she made her way upstairs. Jiraiya thought, ouch. Guy is such an extremist when it comes to training, which is why Lee.Kun is so strong now, but Naruto-kun's case is not the same as Lee's. He was training at Guy and Lee's level of taijutsu. No wonder he's sore. Jiraiya shook his head, realizing that Naruto was doing now as Minato had done when he had been Naruto's age. Naruto was half asleep when Kushina returned downstairs, and he yawned and wiped his eyes before saying, "Oh, Jiraiya-san." Naruto saw his godfather waiting in the kitchen, and he said, "I wasn't expecting on seeing you today. There are simpler methods of training, Naruto.kun. It's not necessary to exert yourself to stay up with Lee.kun and Guy.san. They are much stronger than you because they have a lot more experience," Jiraiya reprimanded. "But if I don't challenge myself, how else will I become strong?" Naruto boldly declared. "I won't advance if I remain in my comfort zone." Jiraiya chose to end the conversation for the time being. "Ka-san, what's for breakfast?" Kushina concealed her grin. "Today's menu consists of toast, eggs, and bacon. Do you want to come, Jiraiya-san? Before you two exhaust yourselves with training, I can at least make sure you eat well," Kushina said. Jiraiya corrected, "We're doing the summoning jutsu today, no physical exertion at all." Kushina brought them all some food, took 3 glasses out of the cupboard, filled them with juice, and brought them to the table, giving one to each of them before sitting down to eat herself. "Naruto will come home fine." Kushina demanded, "Take good care of my son. If he starts to get more and more perverted, I'm going to blame you. Furthermore, you will also regret it if my son is harmed." Jiraiya flinched in his chair, and Naruto, who was accustomed to such behavior from his only parent, was unconcerned by her unexpected display of emotion. Kushina finally gave in and cleared the table, but not before Jiraiya saw that Naruto was still in his pajamas and said, "Your son will not be corrupted by me. I didn't corrupt his father and I won't corrupt him." Jiraiya swore. "The day cannot be wasted here. We need to do some training." Since he had run so quickly, Jiraiya was surprised that Naruto wasn't leaving skid marks when he said, "It appears that taijutsu training paid off." In any case, he didn't want to be lectured by Kushina again because Minato had only had one lover, and that was Kushina, who had made it clear from day one that she wasn't one to cross, and Jiraiya was currently on her bad side because she was certain that her son would grow up to be like him. "I'm prepared." As he dashed down the stairs, fully clothed, Naruto shouted. "Jiraiya-san, keep in mind what I said." Kushina reprimanded Naruto for his indoor voice. Naruto easily kept up with Jiraiya as he hurried out of the house, swearing, "I will." "Geez, your Ka-san sure can be hot-headed." With a shrug, Naruto said, "I'm used to it." "Where will we practice?" Naruto inquired. "To a property that I own privately." As they came to a large house, Jiraiya responded, "We shouldn't be disturbed there. Come on in." Jiraiya invited, taking off his shoes close to the door. Naruto followed Jiraiya through the house and through a back door, emerging into a large backyard with a small artificial pool. Jiraiya had picked up a large scroll somewhere along the way, and he was now unfolding it on the ground. "What is that?" When Naruto noticed that only 2 people had signed in faded red ink, he asked inquisitively, "And is that my Otou-san's signature?" Naruto uttered those words. "Your father was the second person to learn this technique from this specific scroll," Jiraiya said, nodding. "Since I was Minato's sensei while he was still living, I was the first to teach it to him." Jiraiya remarked, "Minato was one of my best students ever. You're named after a character in one of my books. On the day he became Hokage, I was ecstatic. Maybe when you become the Hokage, I'll be able to be proud of you." Naruto said, "Let me clarify. My namesake is from one of your obscene novels?" Jiraiya nodded in response to Naruto's demand. Jiraiya clarified, "Your name has 2 meanings. First, it can mean whirlpool, which makes sense given that your mother is originally from the Whirlpool village, in now extinct Ninja Village. Additionally, your name may refer to a particular kind of food, such as a steamed fish, paste cake. In any case, let's move on. I need you to make yourself bleed and sign your name in your own blood," he said, pointing to the blank space next to Minato Namikaze's name. "What?" yelled Naruto. "Is that blood instead of ink?" Naruto's eyes were wide as he asked. "It doesn't take a lot," Jiraiya remarked. "This is the only way to seal the contract with the Toads." Jiraiya watched in awe as Naruto slashed his palm with a kunai and signed his name in blood before the wound healed almost immediately. Jiraiya remarked nonchalantly, "That's a pretty handy skill. Just imagine if you were able to figure out how to access that fox's other hidden powers. There, I could be of assistance to you." Naruto said, "There is no way that's going to happen. My father gave his life to see this sealed, and I won't give him a chance to get away. Furthermore, what sort of ninja am I if I must rely on someone else for strength? Not because of something imprisoned inside my body, but because of my own strength, I will become Hokage." Jiraiya countered, "But you actively use the healing power. It happens automatically. That one is out of my control. You expressed a desire to move quickly. Currently, what comes next?" Jiraiya had obviously found a sensitive topic for the blonde shinobi, so Naruto asked directly. "All you need to do is slap your hand on the ground and draw some blood," Jiraiya conceded. "Fine, fine. Only if you have already established a contract with an animal will this work." Jiraiya bit his thumb and struck the ground palm first, saying, "See, watch me." A regular-sized toad joined them after a puff of smoke. "Why did you call me now, Jiraiya-san? And who's the blonde?" The toad grumbled, fiddling with his blue vest. "This boy, Gamakichi, is Naruto Uzumaki, who recently entered into an agreement with the toads." Jiraiya added, "He's also the son of someone who previously made a contract with you." Gamakichi glanced at Jiraiya after turning to face Naruto. "Jiraiya-san, he does not resemble you at all." Gamakichi ordered Jiraiya to stop lying. His face went blank, and he twitched as he fell to the ground. "Won't believe that you're related," he said. "Jiraiya-san, this won't sit well with Pa." Naruto clarified, "He's my godfather, not my father. My Otou-san is Minato Namikaze." "Oh." The toad cried out, "I understand now. Actually, you resemble Minato-san exactly." Gamakichi hopped onto Jiraiya's face and said, "My dad doesn't like this old pervert, Gamabunta. He might even like you. I only know that my father gets very irritated with him, but I have no idea why." Gamakichi was flung off and somehow landed on Naruto's head as Jiraiya leapt up into a sitting position, his face dark. "Gamakichi, I've told you this before," Jiraiya said. "I'm not a pervert. I'm an extreme pervert." Naruto burst out laughing at this. "What? You don't feel ashamed at all, Arrow? Senin?" With tears streaming down his cheeks, Naruto questioned, "What's better about being a mega pervert?" Naruto continued to laugh and said, "That's worse than a regular pervert." "Indeed, Naruto-kun. Now I'm heading back. Let's see how summoning goes for you." Before he disappeared in a puff of smoke, Gamakichi said, "See if you can summon successfully." He coughed to clear the air around him and waved the smoke away with one hand. "Well, nothing's going anywhere." Just like Jiraiya, Naruto bit his thumb and drew blood, slamming his hand to the ground. A toad and another puff of smoke appeared, and Gamakichi returned once the smoke had completely dissipated. "Hey, you must be a skilled shinobi," he said, gesturing with a webbed hand to the blonde who had just called him. Even Minato-san and Jiraiya-san couldn't have grasped it so quickly. "Really?" Naruto inquired, unsure whether or not to believe this. "We expect great things from you, kid," Gamakichi said, nodding. "Sorry, I have to leave now. See you later." After saying that, he disappeared once more, leaving Naruto in shock. As they waited for their order the following day, Jiraiya took Naruto out to ramen. While they were waiting, Jiraiya pointed out to Naruto, "Ya no. There is something special about the shadow clone jutsu." Naruto's face lit up at the statement. "It's one of the special properties of the technique. As you should be aware, its original purpose was spying rather than fighting. You get all of the experience and knowledge the clone gained when it comes back to you." "Really?" Naruto asked excitedly. Jiraiya nodded. Naruto thought for a moment. "I see why. At any time, they could send in the clone and dispel it. If the need arose, they could use that method to obtain the information or whatever they needed to figure out without putting themselves in danger. That's why it's such a crucial technique, so highly guarded," Jiraiya affirmed. "No other method of cloning can accomplish that. However, Minato once used it to cheat. He would train with a large number of clones, and after they left, he would have both the training he had completed and the actions of his clones. He made enemies fast and frequently needed to gain strength quickly." "Nice." Already preparing to do so, Naruto yelled. "However, you also get their weariness when you acquire their expertise and experience. That's the drawback of this," Jiraiya stated, shattering Naruto's illusion that it was an unfailing technique. "I have another question for you," Jiraiya said. "For Valentine's Day, what are you planning to do?" "What?" After their ramen arrived and he had begun to eat, Naruto inquired. Valentine's Day is in 2 weeks, Naruto.kun. Giving chocolates or something else special to your special someone is customary. And you're dating Hinata Chan now, right? Naruto perspired. He recalled that many of the girls used to give him chocolates and other treats when he was younger, including Hinata, though she would only give them to him in private because she was shy. He and his mother would always make gifts for his friends, giving Hinata something special because they both knew they liked each other. I ought to take on more than I have in the past, because even though we both knew we liked each other, we weren't dating yet. Naruto briefly lost himself in his thoughts while still holding a few noodles in his mouth. Jiraiya poked Naruto with a chopstick and said, "Hey, at least swallow your food completely before you get lost in thought." Naruto awoke with a start and quickly finished his bowl of ramen. Tonight, I'll speak with Ka-san. Maybe she could suggest something. Naruto decided aloud. Someone cleared their throat behind them and both spun around to see who was trying to get their attention. It was a Junin, a white-haired man by the name of Kakashi if Naruto remembered correctly. Jiraiya asked jokingly, "Ah, Kakashi-san. How can we help you?" Naruto was indicated by Kakashi. Kakashi remarked, "The Hokage needs to see you. It sounded important, so I would hurry if I were you." He told them and drove away, saying, "Right. I'll go now. See y'all later." With filthy thoughts in his head, Jiraiya paid for the ramen and got up. Fingering his telescope unconsciously, he made his way to the hot springs. When Naruto finally arrived at the Hokage's tower, he ran directly up the stairs to the Hokage's office. Nobody intervened. A few Anbu and some of the village elders even waved at him. He knocked politely and waved back before going inside. He sat down and said, "You need to see me, Hokage." "Sama." With a broad smile, Sarutobi remarked, "Ah, Naruto.kun. The man of the moment." Uncertain of what to anticipate, Naruto swallowed. "You need to be aware of something. Nothing bad. It's just that, as you know, we're trying to build up our diplomatic relations with Suna again. Their Kazekage, Gaara Kun's father, has suggested something. A shinobi exchange program. Gaara especially wanted to come here, even requesting to be on your team if he was selected." Sarutobi nodded and said, "I see. So Gaara.kun will be on my team for a while?" With great excitement, he exclaimed, "Yes. This is so awesome. Not only will Gaara.kun temporarily be a Konoha shinobi, your teammate, Sasuke Uchiha, has been selected to go to Suna. Gaara.kun will be Sasuke Kun's temporary replacement." Sarutobi went on. "Hinata Chan and Sasuke.kun have already been told. We had to ask Sasuke.kun if he would be willing to go, and he wanted to. What about Kurenai Sensei? She knows that Hina Chan, Sasuke.kun, and I need to work on our teamwork." Naruto replied. Sarutobi promised, "She'll be told upon her return from her mission. She may not be happy with this, but this is out of her control. Speaking of your team, is it true you and our dear little Hinata Chan are dating?" Naruto reddened. "Yeah, we are. But her father agrees with it, so there are no complaints from either of our families." Sarutobi stated, "That's not my concern." Naruto feared the worst, saying, "See, we generally don't allow ninja to date their own team members. But for now, we'll let it slide. As long as you don't let this interfere with your missions, we won't separate you two." Naruto murmured. "Also, Heishi Sama has asked me not to break your team up that way. Apparently you've really been having a good effect on her confidence and it's showing in her recent behavior." Sarutobi stated to the young blonde ninja. "And I've also been thinking on the matter of where Gaara.kun will stay. I was thinking that he might stay with you, since you two are really good friends." "Really?" cried Naruto. Sarutobi nodded, grinning. "Gaara.kun might be staying with me and my Ka-san?" Naruto practically jumped out of his seat in delight when Sarutobi confirmed, "It's still being discussed, but there's a high possibility of that happening. Gaara.kun is looking forward to this. And I happen to agree with the Kazekage on this. It'll be good for both Sasuke.kun and Gaara.kun." 1 week prior to Valentine's Day, Naruto bemoaned to his mother, "Ka-san, what should I do? I don't know what to do for Hinata now that we're dating." Naruto had already spoken with Jiraiya and the Hokage a week earlier, and since he still didn't know what to do for Hinata, he was starting to lose his mind. Kushina gave the order, "First off, relax." Naruto had an epiphany and hurried to the living room, grabbing a pen and paper. "Do something sweet yet original. I remember after your father and I started dating. On our first Valentine's Day together, he bought me a dozen fresh red roses, with a big box full of chocolates." Kushina asked inquisitively, "What are you doing?" as Naruto rushed back to the table and began drawing quickly. A few minutes later, he pushed the recently completed drawing in her direction. Roses were affixed to the top of the heart-shaped box. I'm thinking maybe pressed roses on top of a heart-shaped box, the box being filled with homemade chocolates. Naruto replied. It's traditional, yet original, with personal thoughts and feelings with it as well. Kushina gave a nod. We'll have to start your idea now then. We'll need a heart-shaped box, along with some roses. I'll buy the stuff for chocolate tomorrow. Naruto jumped at the suggestion. He sat down and put on his shoes before saying, I'll see what I can get in town right now. A half-filled pouch in the shape of a frog emerged from his room after he ran up the stairs. I'll buy it myself, considering the fact that she's my girlfriend. But I'll need money. He hurried out of the house and said, I'll be back in a few minutes. Uncertain of how many roses he would require, Naruto found what he needed and purchased a dozen. Perhaps the concept could have been developed with a bit more forethought. As he paid for the roses, he thought. Well, whatever. However, he had no idea where he would find the box. Naruto turned around to see who had said it. Oh, Naruto-kun. Someone cried. Naruto replied, oh, hello, Hana.ne. Chan. Hana was the older sister of his friend Kiba. How are you today? Hana asked with a warm smile. Assuring Naruto, she said, oh, I'm fine. A dog by her side barked, but you seem confused about something. Is there any way I can help? Like the rest of her clan, Hana was said to be able to understand dogs, and she gave the dog a humorous glance. The dog barked once more, asking, what do you mean? He's confused about love. So it's true that your clans can understand dogs then? Replied Naruto. That is, if you don't mind answering. Hana dismissed this. We can understand our own familiars perfectly, since we train with them from a very young age. And to an extent, other dogs like this one. Normal dogs though, we can't talk to. I can do it with this one since he is one of my clan's dog. Now, according to Bruno here, you're confused about something that has to do love. Naruto said, yeah. Hana pointed to a small store close by and said, I have an idea about what to do for Valentine's Day. But I need to find a heart-shaped box that doesn't already have chocolates in it. That store makes custom boxes, as not everything is right for just any box. Around Valentine's Day, the shopkeeper always has heart-shaped boxes in all sizes and many styles. You'll most likely find what you see there, Hana clarified. After telling them, thanks, Hana.ne. Chan, thanks Bruno, he hurried to the store in question. He opened the door and entered the store, where a middle-aged woman was sitting near the back sipping tea. Naruto said courteously, excuse me, ma'am, but is this the custom box store? The woman raised her head from her cup of tea. Ah, if it isn't Naruto. Sama. Yes, this is the store you just mentioned. How can I help you this fine afternoon? She replied as she stood up. Naruto clarified, I was told this was the place to go. I need a heart-shaped box. We have them here. By the way, my name is Misha. What size do you need? Holding the roses to his chest to ensure they were safe, he said, I don't know Misha.san. Can I see what sizes you have? Misha led Naruto to a corner of the store where a display was erected and said, of course. Please come this way and I'll show you what we have in stock. As Naruto examined the sizes they had, she explained, we always have requests for this kind of box around this time of year. So we make sure to have plenty in stock for the rush. He lifted a big one, perhaps 8 or 9 inches in diameter. I take it you're planning something special for someone dear to you. Naruto gave a nod. Yep, I am. I'll take one this size. How much is it? Misha replied, taking the cash that Naruto was extracting from the pouch he had lovingly named Froggy. That one is 30 Ryu. Ah, I almost wish I was a young girl again. To think that some special girl here in Konoha will be treated by our young hero. With humility, Naruto declared, I'm no hero. It was my Otou.san who did the good deeds, not me. Though I'm flattered to think that you think me as one. But I've done nothing noteworthy, Misha.san. Misha chuckled. Then what about stopping that traitor, Mizuki, was it, shortly after the Genin test some time ago? That wasn't you? She joked. Although he had never boasted about it, Naruto had to concede that she was correct. See, you did do something noteworthy. I hear you're becoming more and more like the Yondaime Hokage every day. Given how much he liked Misha and how much she reminded him of his own mother, Naruto gave in and said, maybe. I must go now, Misha.san. Maybe I'll see you around town. Fearing that he would break the roses or the box, Naruto returned to his home slowly. Hinata was passing close by, so he had to hide fast. She appeared to be on her way to his home. I will need to enter through a window. As he followed Hinata to his own home, he made a note while remaining hidden. The door was knocked on. Naruto took advantage of the opportunity to enter covertly from the rear. Thankful that he had forgotten to lock it the night before, he climbed the wall to his room and climbed in through the window. He heard Hinata conversing with his mother downstairs. Well, he's not here right now, Hinata-chan. Sorry about this. He's running an errand for me at the moment. Knowing him, he may have gotten distracted somewhere. I don't know when he'll be back. Evidently heading out, Hinata said with a smile, oh, don't worry about it. Maybe I'll spot him on my way back. Kushina called, Naruto, you can come down. Naruto went to the kitchen after leaving his room. She inquired, how did you get in? He gave a straightforward response as his mother took his purchases, climbed up the wall outside and climbed in through my window. Kushina gave a headshake. Kushina raised an eyebrow and said, well, I'll start working on these flowers. You do know you're helping me make the chocolates, right? Naruto grinned and nodded, considering how he would surprise Hinata on Valentine's Day. We do it together every year. The day before Valentine's Day, Kurenai finally made it back from her mission. After that, she spent a lot of time with the Hokage, apparently talking about something very important. However, it would be the day after Valentine's Day before she could be reached. She needed a few days in the hospital because her mission had been a little more challenging than anticipated. However, the final preparation of Hinata's present was Naruto's top priority. Following their collaborative chocolate making, Naruto finished the gift with Kushina. The red heart-shaped box was sturdy and had the roses attached. There were multiple tiny chocolates in there, each with a distinct flavor. He made a soft cushion for the individually wrapped chocolates by crushing some of the petals from the extra roses he had. Furthermore, Naruto had discovered a cute pink teddy bear that was the ideal size to place in the center of the heart he had constructed out of his roses. She arrived at his house while he was preparing to personally deliver it to Hinata. He extended a warm invitation, saying, Hinata-chan, perfect timing, come on in. When Hinata entered, Naruto saw that she had changed out of her typical casual attire in favor of a semi-formal sky blue kimono for the occasion. I just have to say, you look absolutely stunning in that. Hinata reddened. Thank you. I wasn't sure what exactly to get you, as it should be something more than what we did in the past. So instead of buying you something, I decided on a picnic instead. Many people have said I'm a good cook. He ran upstairs first and came back down with something stuffed under his jacket, saying, well, I'm no good at cooking. But I also wanted to make the gift personal. Wait here, I'll be right back. After that, he went to the refrigerator and took something out. After a few minutes with his back to her, he turned around and gave her the teddy bear and the chocolate box. With a big smile, Hinata gave the teddy bear a hug. She exclaimed, thank you. I love it, with conviction. You at least have the guarantee that the chocolates are edible. Ka-san helped me make them. He made a swear. Each one has a different flavoring inside of it. Hinata informed Naruto, we'll eat then together at the picnic. Pointing to the large basket she had set at her feet, she remarked, speaking of which, it's all ready to go. He pointed to his simple orange shirt and black shorts and said, let me go get into some better clothes than this. He went to his room, and Hinata heard the door close. You go through the effort to look nice. I'll do the same. Naruto-kun is really cool and kind. I'm fortunate. Out of all the girls in Konoha, he picked me. She straightened up insinuously and thought proudly. She glanced at the small bear she was holding before turning to the box of chocolates he had made himself, with a little assistance. Additionally, the roses he had placed on the box's edge to define it were unquestionably handmade. Naruto said as he made his way back downstairs, I'm ready. His yukata was dark blue with a red sash. He questioned, is this fitting enough? He joined her by the door and said, this is what I usually wear to festivals that allow stuff like this. Hinata nodded and asked, did you have a destination in mind? It's on my family's property. They have fruit trees all over the place, and sometimes, when the breeze is just right, it blows the flower petals nearby in beautiful patterns through the air. Hinata sighed as she described the locale. My father has ensured that we won't be bothered too. That's good to hear. Any chance of seeing your younger cousins? I saw them before. When I walked you home after the mission, they waved to me as you shut the gate. I waved back, but I don't know if they saw me. Naruto clarified. Oh, they saw you. They were very excited that you had noticed them, said Hinata. And, also, you look very handsome in that as well. You'll make a good first impression with my Otou-san. He wants to meet you in person. Naruto laughed apprehensively and remarked, "Well, had to happen sometimes." Hinata allowed Naruto to hold the basket, reasoning that it would improve his appearance in front of her father, even if it was only slightly. "Here, let me hold the basket." Once they arrived at the Hyuga clan's property, Hinata opened the door and led him into the main chamber, where a stern-looking man sat patiently. With a formal bow, Hinata took the basket from Naruto and said, "Oto-san, I'm going to go prepare the picnic. Please send Naruto there when you are done." Hinata didn't say it aloud, but she was indicating with her eyes that Naruto-kun would be alright. "Naruto-kun, I'll be waiting." Silently, Hinata slipped out of the room, closing the door behind her. The dark-haired man said, "Naruto-kun, it's nice to finally meet you. I noticed that you put on formal clothing. May I ask why?" According to Naruto, it's simple. Hinata, though beautiful no matter what she wears, went to extra measures to dress nicely. It was only fair that I did the same. I think she put a lot of effort into today. I wanted to make it special for her. My daughter did put a lot of effort into making that. She got up earlier than she usually does to have it ready for this afternoon. You are an unusual young man. Heishi made the point. Naruto asked, "May I ask how?" Naruto received a cup of tea from a servant who had brought it in. The servant bowed and walked out of the room, saying, "Thank you. She's changed ever since you acknowledged her. Not only more confident in her shinobi abilities, but in everyday life. She smiles and laughs, going out of her way to do things that she hasn't done in years." Heishi stated to the young shinobi in front of him. "And it's only since you were assigned to her team. Even more after you started dating. No one else has had this type of effect on her. Hinata always had it within her. She just needed the right person to help her draw it out." Heishi was told by Naruto. "Heishi-sama, thank you for giving me a chance. She's helping me just as much as I've been helping her." Heishi told him, "Naruto-kun, I felt good about you from the beginning. See, this clan, while maintaining its power, has fallen in a way. The main branch has super high standards, especially for the heirs. It's hard to meet them. And the branch family has been dissatisfied as well. We're falling apart. But since Hinata's changed, so has this clan. You changed her for the better, and because of that, those changes are beginning to show in the clan." Naruto insisted, "I'm really no one special. If anyone is special, it's Hinata. Many people give me special treatment because of who my father was. And as Misha-san pointed out a week ago, I did stop a traitor. But other than stopping Mizuki, I have done nothing noteworthy. I'm only an ordinary boy, albeit one with luck on my sides at most times. I won't hold you up much longer. In fact, Hinata-chan is probably done by now. I'll leave you with one thought," Heishi said as he stood up. "Just because no one says anything, the best people make small changes that lead up to bigger ones. It's those who will have a big effect on the future. I remember your father from my younger days. I was a bit older, but he was one who stuck out. You are like him so much right now. It's very possible you'll walk the same path he did. Maybe you're even doing it now. But enough of this. Go and have a good time with my eldest daughter." Naruto smiled as a servant waited to direct him to where Hinata was waiting. The servant bowed and said, "Hinata-sama is in the center of this area." Naruto was left alone. As he left, Naruto thanked the servant. He saw Hinata patiently waiting beneath the garden's largest tree. She had the food prepared and the stuffed animal she had been given on her lap. Naruto said, "This looks delicious." Hinata blushed and gave him a sip of the beverage she had made, saying, "If it looks good, I wonder how it tastes." After placing some food on a plate and giving it to him, Hinata reassured him, "Please, start eating." Then he grabbed some chopsticks and said, "Thank you, not only for this, but for everything you've done for me." Shyly, Hinata retorted, "It's you who did everything for me. My life just seems so much brighter now than it did before." As he finished swallowing his food, Naruto exclaimed, "I can't wait until Gaara joins our team. He even specifically requested our team. And the Hokage approved this." Hinata grinned. It made her wonder, "I wonder why. Probably because it's one of our team members that'll be going to Suna. We'll need a third member, so Gaara-kun will fill it. He really likes us. I think we were the first not to be afraid of him at first sight. He needs a friend. And get this, he may even be staying at my house. That would be so cool if he did," replied Naruto. Hinata pulled out her chocolates and opened the box to reveal the chocolates resting on the crushed rose petals, saying, "That would be. You and he bonded at the first moment you saw each other." Her eyes glowed. "Wow, you really went into some effort here. In fact, these crushed rose petals could be made into a perfume, You know, we could really make this memorable. Naruto remarked, well, at least they won't go to waste. And that would be cool, to make those into a perfume. It would make this stick out in your mind. Naruto would always smile when he saw her eyes light up and her joyful expression. I'm glad this made you happy, Hinata-chan. Hinata said bluntly but shyly, no, Naruto-kun, this didn't make me happy. You made me happy. Up until now, I've never really had a reason to enjoy Valentine's Day. You made this day special. He put a hand on hers and said, same here, Hina-chan. I hope this one won't be the last either. The servant yelled, Hinata-sama, it's time to wake. Hinata-sama, Gaara-sama will be arriving from Suna soon. Didn't you ask me to wake you up early? The worker inquired. Hinata turned over and held a tiny pink bear against her chest. 3 days had passed since Valentine's Day. And she had slept with the bear every night after that day. What? She exclaimed, quickly sitting up. Oh, yeah, she said drowsily. She straightened her pajamas and got to her feet. I'd said I'd meet Naruto-kun before the ceremony. Do you know where my formal kimono is? Oto-san insists that I wear it today. The Hyuga servant, who was a member of the branch family like the other servants, responded uniformly, we prepared it beforehand last night. Shall I help you into it? Given how intricate the kimono was, Hinata cheerfully replied, yes, please do. However, because the servant had been assisting the ladies of this house with putting them on for so long, it was finished in less than 30 minutes. With her mind wandering to her teammate Sasuke, who had departed for Suna accompanied by 2 Junin without even saying farewell, she chose not to put on any perfume. Should I have suggested breakfast before changing into your formal kimono? The waiter responded, you'll dirty it if you eat in it. Hinata promised, I'll be fine without breakfast. We could have even gone a little while longer before changing actually. But then again, Otou-san and I are expected earlier than the others, just like the other clan heads and their heirs. When she was done, a knock came to her door. Hinata got going. She said pleasantly, see, come in. Her father entered and said, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to scare you. I'll be leaving soon and would like you to come with me. He clarified. Hinata hurriedly stuffed a few items, including her perfume, into the wide kimono sleeves that served as a purse. As Hinata joined her father by the door, she replied, of course. Naruto-kun and I are really looking forward to this. But I really wish Sasuke-kun would have said goodbye. Heishi informed Hinata, the Uchihas were always a solitary clan. It's no surprise that he wasn't into saying a sentimental goodbye. His father and brother were very strict. That's why he is such a serious kid for his age. Hinata inquired, have you heard who Gaara-kun will be staying with? Naruto-kun said it might be with him and his Ka-san. But we haven't heard, at least not that I know of, the official decision. I know many of the powerful clans in the village tried to get him with them. Heishi remembered, yes. Gaara-kun will be staying with Naruto-kun and his Ka-san. They were looking for a place where he would feel at home. And Gaara-kun especially said that he wanted to stay with Naruto. Those two are quite close. Gaara-kun likes him for several reasons. The main one is that Naruto-kun wasn't afraid of him at first sight, as many in his own village are. Explained Hinata. That means a lot to Gaara, as that means that not many people wanted to be his friend. I think that, even though they live in different villages, they still want to be friends. And they won't let distance or time stop them from being just that. Sarutobi. Sama made a very wise choice then. Kushina-san will treat Gaara-kun as her own son. And those 2 boys will be more than brothers. Heishi said, primarily to himself. Naruto-kun is very unusual. If he wants to hard enough, I doubt many things will stop him. Hinata chuckled. From what I hear, he wants to walk in his Otou-san's footsteps. Naruto-kun wants to be the Hokage someday. Heishi chuckled. I think that Naruto-kun can do it. It won't be easy. But if anyone can, it'll be him. Heishi said, I don't doubt that. With courtesy. A significant change had occurred in his relationship with his oldest daughter. That was a positive turn. However, he won't be able to do it alone. He'll need support. Blushing a little, Hinata swore, as long as he wants me, I'll be there. After all, he has done so much for me. I'll do all that I can for him. When Gaara arrived, it was midday. His escorts had returned for Suna after safely escorting him to the Hokage. Gaara waited anxiously for the official welcome ceremony, which they were forced to have, for an hour in the Hokage's private residence. They simply wouldn't let him find his own place to stay, so they hadn't even told him who he would be staying with. Sarutobi had neglected to tell the apprehensive young redhead about it. The ceremony was finally about to begin. At last, it was nearly finished. With this, Sarutobi gave Gaara a Konoha headband and said, "And with this done, I officially welcome you to Konoha." He proposed, "Now, why don't you go greet your host family?" Gaara said, Who is that? I was never told." Wanting to give himself a dork stamp for forgetting something so obvious, Sarutobi said, "Oops, I knew I was forgetting something. Come to think of it, I don't think they even know yet. You'll be staying with Kushina and Naruto Uzumaki." This caused a broad smile to split across Gaara's face. Gaara noticed a tall, red-headed woman with bright blue eyes hushed Naruto, who was clearly trying to give a loud whoop. Naruto and Gaara exchanged a smile as their eyes locked. Already getting used to the much colder weather here, Gaara bowed and said, "Then if you'll excuse me, I'll do just that." He avoided running down the stairs, where Naruto and the woman who had shushed him were waiting for him. His father repeatedly forewarned him about the fact that he was acting as soon as representative here. "Naruto-kun," he exclaimed, giving the blonde a tight hug. Naruto said, "Gaara-kun, this is my Ka-san, and she's a really good cook. Tonight, at dinner, you'll see," he said. "I'm actually Kushina," Kushina clarified, "though if you'd like to call me something else other than Kushina-san, I won't mind. As long as it's not disrespectful," she replied. "Now, since I know this, I'll need to make something special tonight. To welcome our newest family member, even if it is for only a 4-month period of time. Gaara-kun, what would you like?" Gaara said, "I really don't know, could you surprise me?" Kushina chuckled. Kushina said, "Sure. I'll surprise you. What would you like to do for rooming though? You could have your own room. Or Naruto might be more than willing to share." "If Naruto-kun doesn't mind, I'd like to share a room with him," replied Gaara. With a smile, Naruto said, "Sure thing. Then I'll leave early to pick up the stuff for dinner and to rearrange Naruto's room for 2 people. Kushina clarified. "I'll leave around 3. Naruto, you'll need to show Gaara-kun the way to the house." Naruto gave a nod. For a while, Kushina went over to mingle. Naruto yelled, "Gaara, you really need to meet these 2 people. One though, you already know. Hinata. Chan and I started dating. She's my girlfriend now." Gaara said, "That's good to hear. Is she liking this?" A quiet voice from behind them said, "Yes, I am." It was Hinata. Although he would not say it aloud, Gaara thought she looked absolutely beautiful in her kimono. First, he only had Hinata as a friend. Second, Naruto might also not be interested in hearing this. She reached into her sleeve and took something out. The body was small and contained a pinkish, nearly red liquid. "It's the perfume that was made from the rose petals you gave me," she clarified. Ignoring the smirk on Gaara's face, Naruto said, "Hinata. Chan, you also need to meet the person I want to introduce Gaara-kun to." "Who?" inquired Hinata. "My godfather, Jiraiya of the Sannin." The day after Gaara came to get the 2 boys up for breakfast, Kushina ascended the stairs. The previous evening, she had gone to bed at around 10:30. However, she was aware that the 2 boys had most likely stayed up late to catch up and play around. She wasn't going to accept that justification, though, both because she was preparing pancakes for breakfast and to keep order in her home. When Kushina arrived at the boys' room, he silently opened it. She wanted to laugh and just collapse on the ground. 2 beds, 1 in each corner, were now in Naruto's room, which had always been large. In the center of them, on the other side of the room, was a study desk, and beside it was a big bookcase. Above the desk was a window that provided a wonderful view of a simple painted wall that was part of the neighbor's home. In the corner, next to a smaller bookshelf, was Naruto's favorite large blue beanbag chair. Kushina was aware that he stored his comics and manga there. However, this was not the amusing aspect. Naruto was in his own bed, sleeping. However, Naruto was only partially on the bed, with one arm and his head protruding from the side. His pillows were scattered all over the room, and his bedding was a complete mess. One of them was close to Gaara, who was reading one of Naruto's mangas while seated in the beanbag chair. Concerned, Kushina inquired, "Do you never sleep?" Gazing up from the manga, Gaara remarked, "I don't need that much sleep." He placed a bookmark inside the manga and returned it to its original location on the shelf, saying, "Naruto though, still does. I didn't have the heart to wake him." Naruto was adamant about maintaining order in his comics and manga. Gaara scooted off the beanbag chair and walked calmly over to the sleeping blonde, saying, "I'll go wake him up." This should be fascinating. Kushina pondered. Naruto occasionally took a little while to wake up, frequently saying or doing odd things before he finally woke up. He wouldn't remember saying or doing what he did. This was particularly true after he had stayed up late. However, there won't be as many late night parties. With a loud voice and a shaking Naruto, Gaara said, Naruto-kun, it's time to wake up. Come on, I smell something good cooking downstairs. Let's eat whatever it is together. Naruto muttered drowsily, Oto-san, why did you have to go? When Naruto said this, Kushina froze. Gaara now gave the blonde a firmer shake. Oto-san, where are you? I can't find you. Naruto's hand sprang out, circling as though he was attempting to navigate a dark area or fog. His hand dropped back to the side of the bed as his eyes snapped open. Naruto stretched his torso and cracked his neck, exclaiming, URG. I feel asleep in a weird position. Ka-san. Gaara-kun. What's wrong? Quickly, Kushina said, nothing. Wanting to leave the room, she said, breakfast is almost ready. You two should get dressed and come downstairs to eat. She walked out of the room after saying, I'll leave you two to get ready. Naruto looked at his mother strangely. Did anything happen? He interrogated intently. He groaned and said, I said something funny in my sleep again, didn't I? What did I say? Gaara answered, you asked for your Otou-san. You were trying to find him, moving your hand as if you couldn't see very well. You asked why he left. Naruto didn't respond. Are you okay? Inquired Gaara. The room was now a mess, so Naruto nodded silently and stood up, concentrating on finding some clean clothes. Gaara whispered, where were you dreaming about the Yondaime Hokage? Naruto said drearily, yeah. I want to see him in person. But he's dead, giving his life for the sake of this village. Gaara questioned, and you're angry about this? No, Naruto said, shaking his head. No, not angry. If anything, I want to protect what he gave his life for. Naruto clarified. With a shake of his head, Naruto clarified, but I would think that every child's dream to meet their father, even if only once. That is, the kids who don't know their fathers, like me. He pushed his father from his thoughts and said, enough of this. Let's go downstairs. He is suppressing his own melancholy. It was the first thing Gaara realized. He believes it to be strong, and he cannot allow it to show in order to respect his father's memory. Never in his memory has Naruto dealt with the loss of a loved one. He is unsure of how to behave. When Naruto shouted from downstairs, Gaara-kun, you coming down or what? Kushina gave him a stern reprimand. Now, uncertain of how to handle this, Gaara went downstairs. Perhaps he could discuss it with someone by himself. The best person to speak with would most likely be Kushina. During breakfast, Naruto was behaving normally, chatting animatedly in between bites. However, Naruto's eyes remained stormy and sad. Kushina was probably the only one who noticed this particular feeling because he concealed it well. Kurenai and Hinata showed up just as Kushina was about to speak, announcing that the team was meeting. When he gets home, I'll bring it up. Kushina made up his mind. Naruto and Gaara had already left the room, bidding Kushina farewell before heading out with the rest of the team. Wearing a red robe over her nightgown, Kushina sternly commanded, boys, for the last time, go to bed. They ought to have gone to bed by now, as it was 11:30 at night. Gaara never got much sleep, and she was powerless to change that. However, instead of engaging in another pillow fight with Naruto, he could at least be unwinding. Both boys stopped what they were doing when she opened the door. Wasn't me. Naruto swore, throwing the pillow he was about to throw behind him while continuing to strike Gaara as he had intended. With a frown on his face, Gaara threw it back at him, striking Naruto in the back of the head. Bed! Roared Kushina. Both boys gave a guilty nod and walked around the room, finding the bed items and returning them to their proper beds. Naruto, you aren't like Gaara, so get some sleep. Gaara, you could at least try to wind down. Naruto yawned and lay down in his bed. Gaara took a seat close to the bookcase and began to read. Silently, Kushina closed the door and extinguished the main lights. Gaara remarked, hey, that was cold. You're just as guilty as me. Naruto reassured, hey, it was all in good fun. But we really need to wind down. Ka-san might be listening and she can sometimes get really mad really fast. Gaara said, well, then, go to sleep. I'll just read quietly. Only the familiar soft rasp of Gaara turning the pages of whatever he was reading broke the silence that had descended upon the room. Excellent. I'm able to sleep now. Together, those two are quite a handful. However, they're content, so I'll just handle it. As she walked into her own room, Kushina thought and promptly dozed off. After just a short time of sleep, She heard another commotion coming from the boys' room. Fuming, she rose, ready to force them into separate rooms. Kushina.ka.san. Gaara screamed. "Help!" exclaimed Gaara. In a panic, Kushina rushed to the boys' room, nearly ripping the door from its hinges to reach them. She yelled, "Get away from my boys!" and led the masked ninjas who were attacking Naruto and Gaara away. A scratch on Naruto's cheek and forehead caused him to bleed profusely as he fell back against the wall, gripping his right arm tightly. Gaara had not yet sustained any wounds. As soon as Kushina realized this, the assailants turned on her and brandished their weapons. Softly, Kushina warned, "Big mistake." The lead guy exclaimed, "Huh? Only one woman is supposed to be able to stop us?" Kushina shouted, "Egotistical bastards," and swiftly rendered one of the lackeys immobile. She swiftly spun around on one foot and pushed the paralyzed man in her hands into the second lackey, saying, "I may only be one woman, as you put it, but you'll get all that you paid for with this one, especially since you attacked and hurt her kids. Take that." The two ninjas slammed into the wall with such force that the boys in the corner flinched when they heard the thud from his contact and the cracking sound as the room's desk collapsed into the wall. Gaara called forth some of the sand from his gourd to create an impenetrable barrier around them and said, "Naruto, stay behind me. You can't fight with that arm like that, so I'll protect us both with my sand." This made the leader laugh. He threw a barrage of kunai and shuriken at them, mockingly saying, "Like that will stop us." Knowing that she was too far away to assist, Kushina argued, "No, every single projectile was thwarted by Gaara's wall of sand." "What?" she exclaimed, startled. Gaara commanded, "Kushina.ka.san, leave Naruto.kun to me." Kushina nodded and spat a barrage of blows on the stunned assailant, declaring, "No one will hurt my important friend." He was knocked out in a flash. Kushina bound them in a cage of pure chakra and threw him with his lackeys. Gaara allowed Kushina to examine his wounds after lowering his sand barrier. His face was still bloody, but the cuts were already starting to heal. Gaara ran downstairs and dutifully obeyed Kushina, saying, "Gaara.kun, go get a few wet towels and a few dry ones. Your wrist is broken and your shoulder is dislocated. This is more serious. Grit your teeth. I'll pop your shoulder back into place." Naruto gave a nod. "You ready?" In a harsh tone, Naruto said, "Get it over with." With a nod, Kushina quickly replaced the bone in its original location. Even though his tears were now blending with the blood from his wound, Naruto didn't scream. He fell to his knees, but Kushina caught him and carried him to the bed, where he was laid down when Gaara came back. Kushina took the towels and said, "Thanks. Go get some of the wood shards from the shattered desk and try to find something to bind the splint with." In response, Gaara grabbed a roll of bandages from Naruto's first aid kit that he had lying around and grabbed a few pieces of wood. "Yes, ma'am." Kushina nodded and started to put a tight splint on Naruto's wrist, asking, "Will he be okay?" She dried his face with the dry towels and used the wet ones to wipe away the tears and blood. Kushina said, "We'll take him to the hospital in the morning." Gaara noted, Kushina.ka.san, it's already morning. See, the sun is rising. Kushina believed this to be accurate. A hurried conversation could be heard as she hurried downstairs and said, "Stay with Naruto. I'm calling in help to take these 3 goons into custody." A moment later, she came back, looking harassed. Kushina gently picked up her unconscious son and said, "They'll be here quickly. We need to stay put until they arrive. But we will be ready to leave. I don't care what they say. I'm taking him to the hospital." Jiraiya and Kakashi showed up in a matter of minutes. Kakashi informed Kushina, "Take him to the hospital. Tsunade Sama is waiting there to treat him." Not wanting to cause Naruto any more suffering than was necessary, Kushina descended the stairs slowly. Gaara hurried after her and went to the hospital with his friend. Tsunade greeted them at the door, appearing unimpressed by this development. Tsunade led the way to an emergency room that was ready and gave the order, "This way." Tsunade first examined Naruto for head injuries before Kushina placed him on the bed. As she treated his head injury, her hands glowed green. A concussion. Poor kid. His cuts are already healing, though the wrist is better left to heal on its own. I'll reduce it to a fracture. Naruto was still unconscious after being changed and lying down in a hospital room for a while. Concerned Gaara heard Tsunade say, "That's because of the pain. Humans only have a few ways to deal with extreme pain. And this is one of them. With enough training, this defense can be bypassed, though that's not always for the best. He just needs to sleep and rest." Tsunade reassured. Kushina said, "Gaara, what happened?" One moment you two are having a pillow fight and I finally convince you two to go to bed. The next you two are attacked and Naruto is wounded. On that subject, thank you for keeping him safe after he could no longer fight. Naruto had just fallen asleep when they crashed into the room through the window. He instantly woke up and we defended ourselves. But we're still only genin. My sand protects me from any physical injury, which is why I have no injuries. Naruto.kun wasn't so lucky, Gaara continued. Kushina whispered to Gaara, go sit with Naruto. We'll come get you if we have any questions. Gaara hurried into the room. Tsunade. Sama, I want answers. What happened? Who are they? And what did they want? The following day, Naruto complained, this is so annoying. He was able to avoid spilling the food all over himself again by using his left hand to use chopsticks. I'm good in a fight with my left hand. But eating is a completely different story. And my arm itches. He was grinning. He had been informed that his arm would be in a cast for 3 to 4 weeks by Tsunade, the renowned Sannin renowned for her medical prowess. Naruto hoped that his rapid healing would take effect and shorten that period of time. After being reassured by Naruto and Gaara that they would be alright on their own, Kushina went out to dinner with a friend. The Hokage had mandated that 2 Anbu be on guard at all times to ensure their safety because they had no idea who had sent them, who was the target, or why. The Anbu would split up and each follow one of the boys if the boys did. Kushina was aware of this. However, they had made the decision to keep this information from the boys. They were sure they wouldn't be noticed by the boys. From his seat in the living room, Gaara gave advice, saying, you'll just have to get used to it until it heals. When Naruto had woken up that morning, he had been brought home. He had been forced to stay in bed until the evening by Kushina. Even though Gaara had brought him some of his manga to read during that time, he had dozed off due to boredom. He had come downstairs that night and awkwardly prepared some dinner for himself. With his right arm in a sling, he struggled to make something with just his left arm for about 5 minutes before Gaara took over and did as Naruto said. Due to his fractured bone, he was also unable to participate in the more difficult missions because he was not proficient in one-handed jutsu. Naruto asked out loud, I wonder how Sasuke.kun is doing. We haven't heard anything about him. I know that he's staying with my family, so they've probably been keeping him busy with training and all of that stuff. My siblings are really strong, said Gaara. Naruto turned in astonishment. What, I forgot to tell you that I have 2 siblings, a brother and a sister? Naruto concurred, yeah, you forgot. What are they like? I wish I wasn't an only child. It got pretty lonesome when I was younger. Kankuro, my brother, is a puppet user. He trains day and night with his puppets. As the Cage's children, there's a lot of pressure on us. And Tamari usually used her giant fan, sometimes summoning a weasel to help her in a fight. She's really short-tempered though. My father raises us alone with the help of Uncle Yashimaru. His sister was my mother, who died giving birth to me. Gaara continued. I feel connected to her when I use my sand. Naruto finished his dinner and said, I see. I wish I knew more about my family. My mom's family is all dead, wiped out with the rest of her home village. She wasn't there when it was destroyed, so she, needless to say, survived. My dad though is very well known. I'm sure he's well known all around the known shinobi world. We don't know if he has any family still alive. Abruptly, Gaara said, Naruto, thank you. Naruto gave his friend a perplexed look. Before you, no one was willing to be my friend. They're afraid of me, but you aren't. I really like that about you. If you don't mind me asking, why are they afraid of you? Replied Naruto. Gaara replied, because I have a monster inside of me. He raised his shirt and directed some chakra into his stomach, saying, a demon was sealed into me as I was born. They wanted to use me as a weapon, but I quickly proved to be a failure as that. Slowly, a faint black seal of some sort appeared. Everyone back home knows this, as does your Hokage. But no one else now besides you and Sarutobi. Sama now knows that I have a monster within me. At least, around here anyway. I get my sand shield from the demon. With a smile, Naruto raised his own shirt and directed chakra into his abdomen. Now he could see his own seal. Gaara let out a gasp. Naruto declared, we're one and the same Gaara.kun. Though my demon was sealed into me by my father to stop the 9-tailed fox from attacking any further. He didn't want to ask someone else to make a sacrifice that he himself didn't want to make. Gaara was speechless. With a broad smile on his face, Gaara pondered, who would have thought? No wonder I trusted you so much. We're the same. Does your demon give you any special powers? Naruto gave a wink. Naruto pledged, I'll explain rather than show. You might freak out otherwise. My fast healing ability comes from the demon within me. Other than that, no other abilities have manifested themselves. Though that would be useful at times, given how danger-prone I am. I'm hoping though that my fast healing will lessen the time that my arm has to be in this cast. He grinned as he examined the cast. Naruto.kun, please don't tell anyone else what I told you. I told you because I know that I can trust you. Not even Hinata-chan, as good as friends as we are. Gaara responded, I know that I can trust her too. It's just that I think you would understand better than anyone else here. Naruto cursed, Gaara, your secret is safe with me. Likewise, please don't mention mine to anybody else. I know the people here have no problem with it. But on the outside of Konoha are still places full of people who were hurt by the nine-tailed fox, both physically and emotionally. The two boys grinned and swore at the issue. Gaara also swore, I promise. Both boys felt as though a huge burden had been lifted from their shoulders, and they were suddenly overcome with giddiness. They laughed until they were crying and having trouble breathing. Naruto collapsed onto the couch, landing on his back. Gaara was on the floor close by. Both boys stopped talking as their breathing stabilized. If only your arm wasn't injured. This would have been a perfect time to wrestle. According to Naruto, yeah. He led Gaara to the kitchen and pushed aside some of the items in the refrigerator, exposing a medium-sized cache of chocolate. But there's something else we can do as well. Come on. The boys smiled and took 4 of the individually wrapped chocolates. This is the leftover chocolate from Valentine's Day. Ka-san said I could have a little at a time. Let's both get some. With 2 pieces each, they dashed back into the living room. They were enjoying their prizes to the fullest when Naruto complained once more. He tugged at the collar of his shirt and asked, did it just suddenly get hot? He groaned and ran outside, saying, oh, I need some fresh air. Running after his friend, Gaara yelled, Naruto, wait. Kushina.ka.san told us not to go outside, and followed him outside. Now Naruto stood in the center of the backyard. He said, are you okay? Naruto gave a nod. Gaara checked for a fever on Naruto's forehead but couldn't find one. Naruto let himself be drawn back inside and said, I wonder what brought that on. But we need to get back inside. Come on. The temperature had returned to its typical level. They had been joking around when they heard something whizzing through the air. Gaara raised her shield of sand. Instinctively, Naruto's good hand wandered down to his kunai and shuriken holster. Naruto said, luck is just against us. Naruto grumbled, arg, it's getting hot again. As he watched in disbelief as the kunai he was holding began to gradually heat up before igniting. That's new. Gaara said, Naruto, what did you just do? Naruto had no idea. Maybe it's a new manifestation of the demon within you, an offensive kind which can give you an edge in battle. Naruto said, well, it sure has lousy timing. A loud voice in his head commanded, would you be quiet already? By now. I sense an enemy nearby, thirsty for blood. Let me protect you, even if you mistrust me. What the heck? Demanded Naruto. Who are you? Gaara said, Naruto, now is not the time to be talking to yourself. Naruto reluctantly accepted this arrangement, not knowing what to anticipate, saying, I am the nine-tailed fox. And before you freak out, I'll answer all of your questions after this fight. I promise. Call me Kitsune. When you see your enemy, throw the flaming kunai in your hand at him and duck for cover. A big man loomed into view, making his resolute declaration as he said, Gaara, I've been ordered to kill you. I want nothing to do with that other brat, despite his interesting ability. Naruto ducked behind a tree and threw the kunai he was holding at the man, dragging Gaara along with him. The air was filled with a loud explosion. There was a groan and a crash as the man struck the floor. Naruto cautiously peered around the corner. Naruto said, wow. Wasn't expecting that. He moved forward cautiously, followed by a stunned Gaara. A pair of men in masks leapt into the yard. Are those Anbu? Cried Naruto. In a calm gesture, they raised their hands and said, oh crap. Something is going on. Why else would Anbu be in our yard? They said, we just want to talk. That's all. And we'll take this big guy off your hands, okay? Can we move inside though? I'll talk to you while my partner takes him into custody. Gaara gave Naruto a stern look, told you we shouldn't have gone outside. Sitting in the Hokage's office, a very irritated Naruto exclaimed, old man, can we go home now? Sarutobi had inspected the seal on his stomach after the Anbu forced him to come here. Throughout that period, the nine-tailed fox had not spoken. With a heavy sigh, the Hokage expressed his displeasure at the pouting youth's complete refusal to confront him. Yes, I spoke with him. However, he had spent the entire time with his back to the Hokage. Gaara stood close by, sympathizing with his friend's annoyance but keeping quiet. When they returned to the house, he would try his best to soothe Naruto. According to Sarutobi, very well. Gaara noticed Naruto's eyes narrow and nearly swore when he saw a flash of red in them. But you'll be escorted by Jiraiya. Until we find out who has been behind these attacks, you'll have either Anbu or Junin with you at all times. Is that agreed? It's either that or you two go into protective custody. Take your pick. Gaara responded on their behalf, we'll take the bodyguards. Sorry about him. He's had a hard time the past few days. It's a lot to take in. Sarutobi dismissed this. It's surprising that he's even taking it this well. It's understandable that he's upset. Sarutobi concurred. Sarutobi handed Gaara something and said, he just needs some time to relax. I have an idea. Perhaps this weekend you two can enjoy some time at the hot spring. The kunai that Naruto had created exploded in flames. Now it was completely dark. I had a metalworker examine this. They could name no harder metal. And it can cut through almost anything. Wherever that flame came from, it changed the metal into an entirely new metal. Gaara tucked the kunai into his belt. Gaara acknowledged, the hot spring sounds like a good idea, but we'll have to talk to Kushina.ka.san about it. Kabuto addressed the snakish man in front of him, saying, My lord Orochimaru, the attempt to bring in the Jinchuriki failed. But he did do as ordered. He pretended like it was an attempt on the Kage's son's life. I want Naruto Uzumaki before me soon. He may be able to provide us with the information needed. We know that the demon contacted him. Maybe from that bond, we can figure out a way to learn how to control these demons. With them fighting on our side, our conquest of this world will go faster. I know the first place to fall. Konoha. Orochimaru laughed when he said this. It'd be even nicer if we could convince him to join our side willingly. Kabuto, I need you to do something. Somehow find a way to meet him. Convince him to join us. While bowing, Kabuto said, Yes, Lord Orochimaru. I shall not fail you. As he settled into the hot springs, Kushina muttered, Ah, this feels good. She turned to face Naruto and Gaara and said, It was nice for the Hokage to pay for this. I still could have done paid though. They could all be in the same hot spring because they were in a family hot spring. The two boys were just climbing in when she noticed them. Yesterday, Naruto had returned home in a very irritated state following yet another attack. After witnessing Naruto demonstrate his new power, the Anbu dragged him to the Hokage's office. Sarutobi had shown her the kunai before returning it to the boys, and those two Anbu had personally told her what they had witnessed. That night, Naruto was still in a bad mood when he went to bed. Fortunately, he had awakened to a far superior one. The night after the manifestation of his new power, he had not disclosed to anyone that Kitsune had gotten in touch with him once more, answering all of Naruto's questions while he was asleep and dragging his consciousness into a dreamscape where they conversed. The first time, he hadn't even mentioned it to anyone. After they had been soaking for a while, Gaara proposed, Naruto-kun, let's go play some ping pong. Naruto nodded enthusiastically. Kushina.ka.san, is that okay? Kushina said, sure. The boys whooped and rushed into the dressing room, both of them obviously fresh from the hot spring, saying, the Hokage has people watching this place, so you'll be okay. When Kushina saw this, she shook her head. Hopefully, playing ping pong would help those two burn off their energy. They soon found themselves in the game room, where they picked up a ball and paddles and made their way to the closest table. A teenager entered the room as they were beginning to play the game, Naruto still using his left hand because of the cast and sling. With his white hair still stuck to his head from the hot spring, the teenager said, may I join you two in a game? Naruto and Gaara exchanged a smile as they said, I'm here alone, so I don't have anyone to play with. How about 2-on-1? Me against the both of you? Sure. Gaara moved to Naruto's side of the table as they all responded in unison. Taking the first serve was Kabuto. They smiled even more as they volleyed the ball back and forth, the two younger ones exerting themselves. The teenager said, you two are good. As they all took a break, he said, my name is Kabuto. I'm a ninja around here. Who are you two? Gaara said, Gaara. Kabuto started to object, saying, Naruto, I'm going to get 3 drinks. Gaara grinned and hurried out of the room before Naruto could pursue, saying, no, it's thanks for the game. Naruto's not much of a challenge with his primary arm in a sling. What happened to your arm? I'm a medical ninja, so I may be able to help, Kabuto said. Naruto looked wistfully at his arm as he said, I hurt it in a fight, but you don't have to worry about it. Tsunade of the Sanin already examined it and it will be fine. Besides, I heal really fast, so hopefully the 3 to 4 weeks in a sling like this will be cut down. It's so annoying. And it itches a whole lot too. Not only that, I can't go on the more serious missions either. I'm only a genin, but I've already been missions that have taken me out of the village. Heck, that's where I asked my girlfriend out. Kabuto started giggling. Now that's a story to tell your grandkids someday. Someday I'd like to hear that story. What are you doing while it heals? Have you been hanging out with Gaara-kun? Naruto gave a grin. It looks like you two are really good friends. Which means he must be the ninja from Suna staying here. I know that he's staying with the Uzumaki family at the moment. One of your teammates must have gone to Suna then. Yeah, Sasuke-kun went. He didn't even say goodbye though, he just left. Hinata. Shan and I were about to invite him to go to ramen to try and get him to open up. Naruto replied. Sasuke-kun's not really much of a team player. We were planning on changing that before he left. Naruto exhaled. Kabuto questioned, Naruto, what's it like to be the son of a hero? It sounds silly, I know. But that has always been on my mind. I don't have any family of my own, so it makes me wonder how it feels to not only have a father but a hero for a father. Naruto's face was filled with sadness. I'm always being compared to him. My looks, my skills, my personality, it kind of depresses me. Naruto took a breath. It makes me wonder who they're seeing. Are they seeing my father, the Yondaime Hokage? Or are they seeing me, Naruto Namikaze? I know we are bound to be similar since we're so closely related. But sometimes, I just want to be seen as me. But even more than that, I want a chance to get to know him, though I know that's not possible. Then I can know whether they're seeing me or someone who died a hero for the sake of his home. What would you do for that chance? I mean to make it known you aren't your father, Kabuto asked. Even medical ninjutsu today can't revive a person from the dead today. I know he's lying before I receive a review stating I'm mistaken. Naruto said, almost anything really. Kabuto informed him, I know someone who can help you then. Curious, Naruto looked up. He's a great man, haven given a purpose to many a person's life. He can make almost anything happen. Maybe I can introduce you. He has a way of making things known. With him, I'm sure it can become known that you're not your father. What do you say? In Naruto's mind, a warning bell rang. Still struggling with his inner feelings, he took a while to respond. Kabuto awaited Naruto's response with patience. Naruto was so absorbed in his thoughts that he failed to notice Kabuto suddenly yelling profanity. He did, however, feel himself pushed aside and tumble into the nearby hot spring. He coughed and sputtered, raising his head above the water while continuing to cough violently. A hooded man in a black cloak coughed, but he only heard the last few words of what he heard being said. With a sword drawn from its sheath, the hooded man admonished, away from him. With another curse. Kabuto leapt back and drew a few of his own kunai. You think those compare with a sword? I heard from the snake that you were smart. Apparently he was wrong. But then again, I won't be able to go back to confirm it. Here, a present. He flung a bag at Kabuto's feet. Naruto began retching as soon as it opened. The bag rolled out with a severed head. Whoever's head it was had been pale even in life. A clean sword attack had sliced off black hair. Gold, slitted eyes were still wide open in shock, and gaudily colored gold earrings hung from the ears. Kabuto cried, No, Lord Orochimaru. By this point, Naruto had ceased retching and paused just in time to hear Kabuto's shout. In shock, Naruto whispered, Orochimaru. Naruto backed up and recalled the lessons he had learned in the academy. No way. He said. After lowering his hood, the hooded man turned to face Naruto. A sizable crowd of people rushed into the room as the door swung open simultaneously. A portion of the Anbu that had been observing the location was stunned and motionless. Unconcerned about his yukata getting wet, Gaara dashed into the hot spring and dragged Naruto out. However, Kushina's response was the best. Minato. You're alive. She was able to escape before fainting. She was caught by the man. Ka-san. Naruto exclaimed as he rushed to join his mother. When he arrived at her, he stopped in astonishment and glanced up at the stranger. He thought of the photos he had seen of his father. No way. He stumbled a little. He shook his head angrily and backed up again in shock. It can't be. My father died the day I was born. Who are you? With haste, the man said, Naruto, wait. He laid Kushina gently on the ground and said, There's a way to explain this. Just give me a chance. Please? Kabuto had fallen in shock after Naruto stumbled over one of the kunai. and Anbu grabbed him and held his struggling form motionless as he scrambled to his knees. Or tried to, anyway. Let me go. Let me go. My father's dead. That can't be him. Let me go. Please. Naruto thrashed out even more forcefully, and the naive Anbu lost his hold. Gaara took hold of Naruto's wrist and embraced him. No, it can't be. It just can't be. It can't. Gaara cursed. Naruto-kun, it's okay. There must be an explanation. Give him a chance. Relax. Relax. He said. Naruto ceased his violent thrashing and began to sob instead. Despite his chest heaving, Naruto insisted that his father had died and that the village had benefited from his passing. Gaara dropped to his knees and gently lowered the sobbing blonde with him, saying, Naruto, this won't make anything better. You need to relax. Naruto insisted, it just can't be. Minato jerked as though he had been slapped. What kind of father would let his child think that he's dead? He exclaimed. With tears in his eyes, Minato confessed, I deserved that. Naruto turned to face the man suspiciously and said, My son, please, let me explain. That's all I ask. I'll let you do whatever you want to me afterwards. But let me explain first. That way I've earned whatever you do to me. It was a mission. I decided to fake my own death after the Kyuubi attack to take care of Orochimaru. It was because of his experiments on how to control them that the nine-tailed fox went berserk. But in order for it to be convincing, only one person knew of my plan, the Anbu Commander.in. Chief. I let everyone else think me dead, not thinking it would take over 12 years. This way not even Orochimaru would believe if he heard I was coming after him. And Anbu said, Naruto-kun, it's true. When I heard that your life may have been in danger, I took the mission for your protection myself. I'm the leader of the Anbu. When the Yondaime Hokage came to me for help on the plan, I knew it was the only way. He tasked me to stay alive until his return, no matter how long it took, so I could say to you that he's telling the truth. Naruto, I'm so sorry. I thought it would take at most a year. If you don't want anything to do with me, I'd understand. If you hate me, at least hate me for a good reason, Minato said. He wiped away his tears and said, if you do hate me, I'll have earned every bit of that hate. Naruto fled to his father after tearing himself away from Gaara. He was ensnared in his father's arms and exclaimed, Naruto. In shock. Naruto held fast to his father's large, muscled chest. Naruto pleaded, I missed you, don't go. All my life I simply wanted to know you, wishing with all being that you were somehow alive. Don't go now. I don't hate you. Please, stay with us. I want to be a family again. We can make up for the lost time. Oto-san, don't go. Minato could feel Naruto's weeping frame and he dropped to his knees and buried his head in his son's shoulders. He spoke while giving his son a tight hug. He started by saying, I've wanted to do this for so long. Each day I was away from home I thought of you and your mother, wondering how you two were doing, wondering if you would continue to look so much like me like you did on the day you were born. I'm sorry for staying away for so long. I was at least determined to come back successful, if only to say that I was successful, to make you both proud of me. But in the end, it was my pride that kept me back. And for that, I'm sorry. Naruto did not respond. Minato cast a downward glance. With his knuckles whitened, Naruto was out like a light, his hand tightly gripping his father's cloak. Naruto. Was all he said. The Anbu captain picked up Kushina gently and guided him to their room, saying, Okay, Captain, please pick up Kushina and lead me to their room. Gaara trailed behind. When Minato noticed Gaara hurrying to catch up, she asked, and who might you be? Gaara clarified, Gaara, from Suna. I'm sort of an exchange ninja student. I've been staying with your family. Naruto-kun is like a brother to me. And Kushina-san is the mother that I never knew. He really missed you, you know. A while back, after we had stayed up late the night before, Kushina-san came to wake us up. He had fallen asleep in the most ridiculous position. When I approached and shook his shoulder, he spoke in his sleep. Oto-san, why did you have to go? Oto-san, where are you? I can't find you. It broke Kushina-san's heart to hear him say that. The captain said, Yondaime, Sama, we're here. As Kushina Uzumaki lay out on a bedroll that had been left out since that morning, Gaara slid the door open and stepped aside, saying, Gaara-kun, could you get the door? Gaara-kun and I will take care of them from here. Please go tell Sarutobi Sensei everything that's happened. Also report that Kabuto escaped during our reunion. I'll be where my family is if he needs me. Minato instructed. The Anbu gave a nod and immediately disappeared. He extracted the clumsy material and took Naruto's hand out of the cloak. As Minato removed the soaking yukata from his son's body and put on the dry one, Gaara hurriedly located one and turned away. Gaara-kun, can you find me a dry yukata for Naruto? Gaara asked. So we're just going to wait for them to wake up? Asked Gaara. Minato gave a nod. Minato's eyes drooped, and Gaara was the only one still awake. I might catch some Z's myself. I haven't slept for 3 days, having a major fight in that time period too. He brought over an extra blanket and wrapped Minato in it, grinning. Bright daylight was shining in Minato's eyes when he woke up. He groaned, "Arg," as the blanket dropped off him. He realized, Gaara-kun must have covered me up. He searched for his relatives. Naruto was still asleep, curled up on his side. Gaara was awake and waiting close by. Kushina had left. Gaara-kun, where's Kushina? Minato yawned. Gaara, briefly distracted by Naruto's loud rolling over in his sleep, answered, Kushina.ka.san went to go get some clean clothes for you and food for all of us. She thought your return had been a dream until she saw you asleep while sitting up against the wall. Kushina declared, Mina.kun, if you ever pull a stunt like this again, I'll kill you myself. As she returned inside holding a tray in her hands and a big yukata over her arm. 3 more trays were brought by 3 of the hot springs staff members. She put down her tray and walked over to the weary man who was still leaning against the wall. I cried for days. And Naruto has been raised this whole time with the mindset that you were dead. And look at you now. You're a mess. What have you been up to for all this time? He stood up and said softly, Ku-chan. I've been up to a lot lately. I'm sorry for the vanishing act. I did so to make everyone think that I was dead so Orochimaru could be caught by surprise. I didn't think it would take as long it did. He kissed him. Not until you take a bath. You seriously stink. Kushina pushed him away and gave him directive. He took the big yukata from Kushina and headed to the shower room, laughing. He went quickly because he didn't want to miss any more time with his family. 20 minutes later, he was still using a towel to remove the water from his long, blonde hair. Before kissing her new husband, she said, Gaara.kun, please wake Naruto up. Grinning, he drew Kushina nearer to him. They both jumped when Naruto said abruptly, URG, I think I might retch again. Confused, Kushina said, again? Yeah. I threw up last night when Oto.san threw that severed head to the floor in front of me. He could smell his breath. Kushina turned to Minato and said, anyone got a mint or something? My breath seriously stinks at the moment. It was Mina.kun. She cried. He shrugged and grimaced, don't shrug. In his own defense, Minato said, it was to intimidate Kabuto. Kushina reminded them, who still escaped. What do you say to that? Him and Orochimaru had dastardly plans for our son. But they were only strong together. Kabuto's no better than a whipped dog now. His entire life was devoted to that creepy snake Teme. Minato stated simply. His head landed on her shoulder, startling Kushina, who said, with him gone our family is a lot safer, as is the world. I'm just tired. Until last night, I hadn't slept for 3 days with a big fight during that time too. How about we go on vacation? Just you, me, and the boys? Gaara didn't remember what Minato had said. He was regarded by Minato as one of his own sons. Kushina teased, Naruto, can you handle being away from your precious Hina-chan for a while? Naruto turned beet red and blanched. She giggled girlishly and said, see, our son had already gotten his first girlfriend. They're so cute together. Naruto and Gaara looked at one another in utter confusion. Grinning, they shrugged and parted ways with the adults. Minato urged the 2 boys to approach the tray and said, come on, boys. This old man is hungry. So let's eat and maybe get some relaxation in afterwards. And Naruto, I've been meaning to ask, what happened to your arm? It's in a cast. It probably needs to be changed now though thanks to you falling in the hot springs though. Naruto sat down and said, it's fine Oto.san. Though I can't wait for it to come off. It's annoying, really annoying, to have only the use of my left arm. It's stopping me from going on serious missions. Minato corrected in jest, but you're only a genin. For a while, they don't receive important missions. Not my group. It's where Hina-chan and I got together, Naruto insisted, smiling proudly. My team has already been to Suna and back on a mission. Sort of. After being split off from everyone else, we gathered together to wait for the sandstorm to pass. Minato turned to Naruto in disbelief as Kushina said, he's just as danger-prone as Yumina.kun. On the classic Find the Lost Animal mission, he got kidnapped by a traitor who was about to report to Orochimaru. The traitor had stolen a scroll with forbidden techniques. The man was discussing his plans aloud when Naruto discovered him. However, Naruto managed to break out, cracked the scroll's seal, acquired a forbidden technique, and used it to buy time for assistance to arrive. He apparently used a sizable army of his own to defeat the traitor as well. Minato said, "Wow. That was really awesome. Did you employ the shadow clone technique? I am so proud of you, son," Naruto said with a proud nod. He ruffled Naruto's tangled bed hair, saying, "Only my son could do something like that." Oto.san. Minato was hoping for that exact reaction, so he grinned as he finished his breakfast and watched as the boys finished theirs and Kushina expertly herded both boys to take a bath. Naruto grumbled, hurriedly fixing his hair. "So, how about we properly catch up? Now that the boys are busy," Minato said, bringing Kushina onto his lap. "What's this girlfriend thing I've heard?" Kushina was about to say, "I want details," when someone knocked. Minato hurriedly said, "Come in." Sarutobi entered the room, grinned, and said, "How are you, Sarutobi?" "Sensei." Innocently, he inquired. "Only you could pull off that innocent yet mischievous smirk as well as you do," Sarutobi confirmed. "It's you all right, Minato. I'm shocked that you're still here. Kushina would have killed you by now for this stunt, I was certain. It's been enough time. My grandchild is currently enrolled in an academy. You wouldn't be willing to take up the position again, would you?" Kushina laughed, resting her head on Minato's shoulder. "I'm getting too old for surprises like this. By now, I ought to be retired. I need some time with my family first," Minato said, adding, "if I'm needed. First, we would like to take a vacation with the boys." He swooped down for a kiss from Kushina and said, "And I mean a lot. We have a lot of catching up to do." After pushing his opponent back a few feet with his crossed forearms to block a kick, Naruto used one hand to stop his sliding and used the momentum to launch a spinning low trip attack. With the other hand, he flipped up into the air, preparing his next move. "Naruto! Naruto! Naruto!" The audience cheered as he fought. 4 months had gone by since his family was reunited, and they had all been entered for the yearly Chunin exam. Naruto had aced the Rin test, and the team had done well in the survival round. His team had come in second, while Gaara's team, which included his siblings Temari and Kankuro, had won first. They had far too many genins for the finals, so the semifinals were held, and all 3 members of Team 8 had advanced. At the moment, Naruto was facing a genin from Sound, a young woman named Kin. "My boy is that." Sarutobi had officially retired, and the people had naturally asked him to return to his position, which he had gladly done. Kushina was seated next to Hinata and her father. Kurenai had been called to a long-term mission, so she hadn't been available to be their sensei for a long time, and it was going a little while longer. Minato yelled loudly from his seat. "Oh no!" She landed on her side after Naruto landed a roundhouse kick directly to her stomach, followed by an elbow to the back of her head. Kin coughed, a little blood leaking from her mouth. She struggled to stand up, only reaching her knees. Naruto landed on his feet and placed a standard kunai to her throat. "Give in." Kin hung her head and Naruto said, "I don't want to hurt you anymore." She raised both hands in the air and said, "Proctor, I yield." Naruto smiled broadly and offered her a hand, but Kin appeared perplexed. "This battle was well fought. You are a worthy adversary. Thank you. We should spar again sometimes," Kin said, smiling and accepting the assistance. Kin declared, "Naruto Namikaze, I'm looking forward to that day. You are a worthy opponent as well." The crowd cheered more enthusiastically as they shook hands and said, "Let's leave this field as friends." Konoha's Naruto won. "The finals are now over," the proctor announced. "At the conclusion of the exam banquet tomorrow, the results of this year's Chunin exam will be revealed. Everyone is encouraged to attend, particularly those who took part in this event." Naruto ran up to where Kushina was sitting with Hinata and her family. Medics escorted Kin off the field, but he refused assistance, claiming that his wounds were not serious. "Naruto, that battle was fantastic." Naruto held up his hand and asked, "Here, take a breather and sit down." Hinata sat near the middle of the row of seats, and given the lengthy flight of stairs he had to climb to get there, he was quite exhausted from his fight with Kin, which had taken longer than anticipated. "Here, take a breather and sit down," she said, pulling him onto the chair she had just been sitting in. "Thank you. I'm ready for a bath right now, Ka-san." Naruto declared, "This fight really made me sweat up a storm." Kushina chuckled. "Then let's go tell your dad." Kushina proposed, "He'll be home as soon as he can tonight." Naruto nodded and got up to join his mother, but Kushina saw that he was a little unsteady. What's wrong? You're all shaky. My balance must have been thrown off by Kin's sound attacks. Naruto laughed and said, it's no wonder I stumbled on the stairs halfway up here. Oh well. He smiled as he walked up to the Hokage's box with Hinata and Kushina, saying, I saw your fight, Hinata. I just need a little time. It was quite remarkable. Hinata laughed and put her hand in Naruto's, who grinned and recalled the day she had first met his father. We've both come a long way from our academy days. Rewind after hearing the rumors. Hinata went to the town meeting where the third Hokage declared them to be true. The fourth Hokage was still alive, having staged his death to complete an important mission. She hurried to Naruto's house and knocked on the door, gasping a little. Kushina-san, is Naruto here? Kushina gave a nod. He went up to his room to hang out with Gaara after he fell asleep on the couch while chatting with Mina-kun. Kushina said, come on up. Just remember to knock before you go inside. Who arrived just now? Ku-chan. Hinata smiled and knocked on Naruto's door, who opened it and smiled when a weary voice asked her to go upstairs. Come in, Hinata. Naruto bowed formally and smiled wryly as he stood up once more, saying, did you hear? We have drinks and candy up here. My father is still alive. It's really fantastic. To help him settle in, we arrived home early last night. It has been extremely difficult for him while he was away. Gaara held out a can of soda and some heart-shaped chocolates, saying, Hinata-chan, here, have some goodies. They were the leftovers from Valentine's Day. They will spoil if they are not consumed within the next few days. We can eat them all today, Kushina.ka.san said. Hinata chuckled and accepted Gaara's offer. Naruto.kun is very happy. He feels as though a burden has been lifted ever since his father returned home. As Hinata watched Naruto rearrange his manga, she exclaimed, I'm so glad to hear that. His manga had somehow poured out of the shelves. She inquired, what's this I hear about a new ability? Naruto said, go look outside the window. When she did so, she noticed a massive burn mark on the ground. That's the after effects of it. It also turned the regular kunai that was set aflame into a new metal. The metal workers here have never seen the like of it. It's super hard and can cut through almost anything. He produced a kunai and gave it to her. The center of the area was empty and shaped like a large man. Watch out, it's sharp. The kunai was examined by Hinata. A knock on the door interrupted her as she opened her mouth to speak. A tall, blond man opened the door and said, I hear Hinata-chan's here. I would like to meet her. Hinata yelled, Yandaime-sama, because she knew him from her academy classes. As he closed the door, he pleaded, please, just Minato-san is fine. He extended a hand to shake it and said, I've heard a lot about you. It's nice to meet you at long last. When Hinata shook it, she saw that his enormous hand dwarfed hers entirely. So, you're my son's girlfriend. Hinata gave a tense nod. Don't be so nervous. Relax. We're all just people here. Hey, Gaara.kun, can you give me one of those candy hearts? I'm still starving and they look good. Plus I'll get to taste a little of my son's cooking skills. Gaara tossed him a chocolate heart and said, sure. Minato bit into it eagerly. Minato ate half of it in a single bite and said, now, Hinata-chan, I would like you to know something. In private, feel free to use .san instead of Sama. Unlike the stories say, I'm still a normal person. As long as my son is happy, I fully have you guys hitting it off. I have a lot of time to make up for, so don't let me waste by trying to stick to formalities. Of course, Yandaime.sam. I mean, Minato.san. I'm glad to know that Naruto's family is complete once again. Promised Hinata. I'll try to remember that. Minato urged, that a girl, final flashback. Minato saw them coming and exclaimed, Ku-chan, Naruto. Hinata-chan, Naruto, that was an amazing fight. I'll be back when I can. But we have to discuss who's promoted and that can take a while. Sorry about that if it does. Oto.san, you're the Hokage. You have a big job. Just try not to go too late. I may have to eat your share of the dinner. You know, not to waste food. Naruto laughed. According to Minato, oh, we'll see. Are you injured at all? At any rate, get some rest tonight. Tomorrow is going to be very chaotic. He turned around to go, saying, sure thing. And get your equilibrium restored while you're at it. You can't fool me. Instructed Minato. Naruto groaned inaudibly. No arguments, young man. Minato said pleasantly, Welcome one and all to the ending feast of this year's Chunin exams. It has been a huge honor and joy for all of us here in Konoha to host such wonderful potential friends and allies. For now, please enjoy the food and music. I'm sure many of you are nervous about tonight, as we'll all find out who made the cut to receive to earn the right to wear your respective country's Chunin vest. But for now, relax, enjoy, and be at peace for the fact that you made it through. For even if you did not make the cut this year, you have some idea of what to expect the next time you all take this test. Enjoy this all. It's dedicated to those who have done so much to make it this far. After leaving the podium, Minato struck up a conversation with Kakashi. As he went around, Minato spoke to everyone. Minato returned to the podium 2 hours later. As he waited for his father to declare their village's Chunin, Naruto shifted restlessly in his seat. It's time to announce those who made it to the rank of Chunin. Each country's leader will announce their new Chunins. They went last because they were the host nation. As Gaara and his siblings all turned into Chunin, Naruto let out a wild cheer. With pleasure, Kin accepted the vest from her own ninja leader and made the cut as well. With excitement, he said, "It's our turn now. Would the names I call out please come up here to receive your vests?" He inquired. He produced a scroll containing a list of names. Holding their breaths, everyone waited for Shikamaru Nara, 10.10, Sakura Haruno, Hinata Hyuga, Neji Hyuga and my own son, Naruto Namikaze. Give it up for all of these fine youths. Minato said, handing out the green vest with the Chunin designation to each of them. His eyes were practically watering. It's your choice whether to wear them or not. But let all know you have ascended in rank, and that Konoha is proud of all of you. He introduced all of the people from every nation who had achieved Chunin, saying, from now on, make us all even prouder. None of the other promoted individuals had ever left the stage. Hinata joyfully exclaimed, Naruto, we did it, and to think that if we had not become teammates, I would not have been promoted. Thank you for always being there for me and cheering me up. I would not be who I am now without you. Hinata said after they had all left the stage. Naruto spun Hina Chan around in the air and exclaimed, same here Hina Chan. Though I think you would still be here even without me. But who cares about that? We made it. We made it. My path to be the next Hokage just became a bit shorter. And I'll do it on my own, not using my father's position to get me there. You can count on that.
So that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel for more awesome stories like this. Thank you. See you all in my next video.